Again, crews were dispatched to the school just after 2 o'clock with reports of gunshots coming from or near the school. We have since confirmed that the shooting occurred inside the school with one person shot. Of course, as you can imagine, scene is very active. We have officers at the school right now. We also have our Matt Gregory on the scene trying to gather up some information for us so that we can bring that to you. It is unclear at this point if this person shot was a student at the school. Let's go to Matt Gregory right now.
Hey, so look, the information is coming in slowly, and we're just now within the last couple minutes having it confirmed that there was someone shot inside the school. We don't know the extent of that, and by the way, where we are standing right now is about as close as we're able to get, but we're trying to be sensitive. There are many parents showing up right now, trying to find information out, and this is an incredibly tense, scary situation for many of them and what they're going through. So as we're trying to process this, we're doing this as sensitively as possible. So I want to show you what we're looking at here at Wootton High School. This has been a massive response. I've seen Gaithersburg Police, Montgomery County, as well as Montgomery County Police, Montgomery County Sheriff, and all sorts of other law enforcement entities here. Now, we're sort of, I would say, right just beyond the Michael Duran Memorial Bridge. The school you can see is off here in the distance, and Ruth and I are going to kind of, our photographer, going to point you in this direction. You can see various amounts of police sort of along the front of the school, but what you can't see, which is off to the left side, is where all the police are gathering. Now, as I got to the scene, I've been trying to talk to a couple of parents to find out information. I talked to one man who has been texting with his son inside the school, and he was telling me that his son is right now hiding in a closet in a classroom. The entire school has gone under lockdown and everything is shut down. Their lights are out. He said his son is able to communicate with him, but there are other parents who are still trying to get in touch with their kids and are having a difficult time getting that done. So we're thinking about them as we're going through this right now. One of the things I want to point out to you is that over the last 5 to 10 minutes or so, we've seen coming right down the parkway here, Wootton Parkway, dozens of police officers. In fact, here comes one group right here on the scene. Now here comes just the latest response. This is what we've seen for the last 10, 15 minutes, just police vehicle after police vehicle, parent after parent running up to where we're standing, hoping to hear more news, hoping to get more information, and that's what we're trying to provide. But like I said, all we have is confirmed around 2:15 shots fired inside the school, at least one person injured. Don't know the extent of the injury, still working to learn more information on who that person is, how this came to be, and what's happening right now. But we still don't have much to go on right yet. We're still waiting to hear more information from Montgomery County Police. But I should show you, I mean, if you can see what I'm seeing from here, it's just police lights up and down from the front of the school. And then there's off to the side here by the football field also is where there seems to be many officers gathering. Another note, the gentleman I was talking to told me his son said that they know SWAT. His son thought he heard SWAT officers are in the building as well, going door to door searching through the school. So the responses here, they're inside of the school. But again, this is every nightmare for anyone, right? But for parents particularly, as they come here, they're not getting the information that they would like to have, and we're still trying to filter it out. One person did say that they thought this could take several hours. So we're working to learn more information here. But one of the things that you have to deal with in this particular moment in time is that with all this sort of lack of information coming out right now, as they're trying to get more information, parents are going to continue to be showing up because it's just about time for school to naturally be out. So again, here at Wootton High School, at least we do confirm one person shot inside the school. Working to learn more information about that, working to learn more information about how this whole thing's transpired and what sort of the response is. From what I can tell, there's many police outside the building kind of creating a perimeter around the outside, investigators, but we're also told that sort of the special response teams, but this is not confirmed. Special response team is inside the building according to one parent and the messages he was exchanging with his son. So that's kind of what we're at right now, trying to find out more information. Annie, I'm going to send it back to you.
Okay, Matt, so just to clarify here, we have one person shot inside that school. We're not sure whether this was a student or a staff member. I'm looking at the Wootton High School bell schedule. I don't know if you were able to speak with parents about that, but it looks like their last period ends at 2:30. If this report came in just after around 2:15, do you get a sense that the school put the kids on lockdown prior to that, or when did that lockdown occur?
We don't have a specific time because, like I said, the information's been a little bit kind of coming in and we've been taking as it comes. But I know 2:15 when the shots came out, that is when we believe right around them when the school went into lockdown. I just heard police saying as you were talking, Ruth, you can spin the camera around a bit. They're talking to police right now. The police are talking to parents, and they were just told that the reunification spot for students and parents will be at Frost Middle School, which is kind of on the back end of Wootton High School. So you can see there's so many issues in regards to logistics with this because the roads here, there's nowhere to park, right? And I mean, think about all this winter weather we've had built up. There's no area where you can create a parking lot, an area for parents to kind of get their cars there. So all the parents right now that you're seeing are being told, hey, reunification with your students will be at Frost Middle School. Now, Annie, as far as the lockdown time, yeah, I think all we really know is that around 2:15, it sounds like as soon as the shots were fired, call came out is when the school went into lockdown, which these days lockdown means, classrooms go dark, everyone locks the doors, kids start hiding. We were talking to one parent who told us, like I said, that his son was hiding in a closet in the classroom. Like, this is kind of the nature of how these things are done now, and you can see cars starting to turn around and go that way. Again, like I said, the reunification spot for all this is going to be at Robert Frost Middle School. That's what this officer just said. And as we've gotten to the scene, normally as media when we get here, there's kind of an area blocked off, but we're here so early that hasn't even been kind of decided yet. So we're just kind of learning and figuring out this situation moment by moment, second by second. Annie, back to you.
Matt, so the reunification is at Frost Middle School. Of course, this is the unthinkable, every parent's worst nightmare. I'm curious what that text said that parents received as far as, the text from the school. If you have a student in these county schools, they send out these mass texts. Were you able to maybe see that text message, exactly what it said?
No, I wasn't able to see that message. I did see some of the messages he'd been exchanging with his son, which were just saying, so like, this is what's going on. But he said he did get the report at least around 2:15 or so. And this father said he left work immediately and came right here. But again, this is difficult because while he is speaking with his child, others are trying to communicate with their kids and they're just not getting any information yet. And now we're seeing all sorts of, it's a bit chaotic. I'm sorry. As I'm talking to you, Annie, and I'm looking at the camera, I'm watching things happening around the camera. We're seeing police heading in this direction. We're seeing parents go in that direction. It's like you would expect, right? This is a chaotic scene, one fraught with fear, one fraught with a kind of confusion overall. So that's, I think around 2:15 or so, if I can get back to your original question, is when this father said that he had gotten the report. But again, I didn't see what the message said. I think it just said there was a lockdown and a report of shots fired. Everyone seemed to think that it was around the school. There was a report that it may have been outside near the woods. But as we've been able to get more information, and police have too, we find out it's not outside, it's not near the school. It was inside Wootton High School. Annie, back to you.
Okay, yes, Matt, I know you're doing your best trying to get the information. We hear the chopper, we hear the sound coming from that scene from, parents asking what's going on here. But if you are just joining us, we're working some breaking news out of Montgomery County just after 2 o'clock, around 2:15. Montgomery County police received reports of shots fired near Wootton High School. And when they got to the scene, they found one person shot. We have confirmed that person shot was inside the school at the time. We don't know the condition of the victim. It is unclear whether the person is a student or a staff member. Meanwhile, the school remaining under lockdown at the moment. The scene is secure, and we're giving you aerial shots here from Sky 9. Rockville City Police on the scene, and we're told that parents can head to Frost Middle School to be reunited with their student, with their child. Still unclear exactly how this is all going to work. Lorenzo, you're joining me now.
Yeah.
Information is pretty limited right now, but Matt Gregory on the scene, they're trying to bring us what he can. It looked like we had a handful of parents just kind of standing on the street there next to Matt, trying to figure out how they can, get their child.
Yeah, you mentioned it before, Annie. A parent's worst nightmare. You get this news, Parents who may be watching us right now looking at these images, this is frightening right here. If we can take this image again live here showing Wootton High School and just the perimeter here, because before the pilot there in Sky 9 sort of went back toward the school, you saw these officers with their guns drawn, just traversing this neighborhood. Who knows what they're looking for at this hour? Again, the details, the information that we are getting is very limited. According to police, this happened not even an hour ago, but shortly after 2:15, we know that someone was shot inside of Wootton High School. In terms of a suspect, who they're looking for, that is still unclear at this point. How this happened is also unclear. Andy, you mentioned moments ago that students were supposed to be dismissed at around 2:30.
That's what the bell schedule looks like. You know, this is high school, so they tend to get out around that time.
Yeah. And you had the buses in the front, so
sure,
clearly
yeah,
they were getting ready for
dismissal is a whole process. You've got kiss and ride, you've got the buses lining up well before, I know, as a parent, just lining up in car line an hour before dismissal. So. Lots of parents already, I'm sure, at the school by then. You have after-school activities going on. But, I'm curious, though, and I hope to ask Matt this, if Wootton High School has metal detectors. A lot of schools. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think they do.
Right.
I don't think this school in particular has metal
That's
detectors.
what I
know in terms of school security and safety, it has been a big issue there in Montgomery County. You think back to Magruder High School, and I may be getting my years wrong here, 22, 23. The student shot inside of the restroom there by another student, another teenager with a ghost gun. Since then, a lot of folks, a lot of parents, students in Montgomery County have been concerned about school safety. They've been having these conversations over and over, asking what's being done to make sure that my child is going to be safe at school. The same thing for teachers. They want to know that they're going to be safe in the classroom as well, because we have seen these unfortunate incidents at schools across the country where these school shootings, and they prepare for these moments, these emergencies. Again, not knowing what happened here, but school safety has been top of mind. And if I'm recalling correctly, I do not believe they have metal detectors here at Wootton High School, but that could have changed over the last couple of weeks or so.
Yeah, and to your point, I mean, I know these students and faculty and staff are doing those lockdown drills routinely in case something happens, but, just shock right now, I'm sure, and confusion, especially for parents. Let's get to our Matt Gregory now, who is on the scene. Matt, have you learned anything additional?
No, we haven't learned anything additional quite yet, just like what you were talking about, but I'm joined here by a student who says he went home early, and his name's Joel Shore. Joel, tell me about first of all, are you okay, and how are you feeling right now?
I mean, I'm okay. Honestly, I'm kind of shocked by this. This is very, unexpected.
Yeah.
Right, I've been going here for quite some time, and I just haven't seen anything like this at school before. I've heard about it at other schools, but never at Wootton.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what have you heard from your friends inside the building?
I mean, so far my friends are okay.
Yeah.
They're in the lockdown positions, right, where they have to get under the desks, turn off the lights, and they lock the doors and close all the blinds.
Can I ask you, how do you train for something like that?
I mean, honestly,
do they
yeah.
Parents, is this something you guys actually routinely train to do?
Yeah, we do it a few times a year. We have drills, for these kinds of events.
I would guess, as you've been going through, do you know you left school around what time today, and then sort of when did you get the report that this was happening?
I left not long after first period, right? So I want to say around 8:45ish. I left.
So then, did you get an alert on your phone that this was happening?
No, my mom actually, she came down because I was just laying down. She came downstairs and she said, "Joel, there's been a shooting at Wootton." So yeah.
Now you've been texting with your friends. What are they saying? Are they hearing anything inside the building? Is anything being shared with them information-wise?
I mean, they haven't really said, but I've been asked are you guys okay? How are you guys feeling? And it seems like everyone inside is extremely scared, right? And shocked. Yeah. So yeah, but
how do you feel? I mean, I know I asked you earlier, but you're on the outside, they're in there. How are you feeling?
I mean, honestly, I'm shocked, and I honestly, I just wish this didn't happen. This is really weird and hard to process for me.
Do they have metal detectors inside Wootton or any sort of weapons detector? That's some questions one of our anchors was asking.
No, I don't believe they do. I wish they did, but they don't have metal detectors because, you know, zippers,
Yeah.
binders. So, yeah.
Oh, so when you walk in, you just walk right in the door?
You walk in, they check your student ID,
Yeah.
and then you just walk right in.
All right. Well, Joel, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
course,
Sorry
yeah.
for what you're going through right now at this moment. Yeah. So like that, we got a little bit of insight, you know, kind of into what the students are experiencing. Joel, who left early, he says, was telling us kind of what his friends have been telling him inside. But again, as we're kind of looking at everything over here, like you can kind of see, go kind of point over here a little bit more. Ruth, what are we? We're looking at down just a bit further beyond everything. You're seeing more police continuing to arrive. We don't really have an idea of when this will be resolved, and there's information that I've been getting that's kind of coming from students inside, but again, since I don't have confirmation with police, we're gonna have to wait back on that. But as far as we know, there's one victim at least in this shooting inside the school. We do not know the number of shooters or shooter. We're still working to get that confirmed, and we're trying to find out more information. But again, all of this against the backdrop of an incredibly sensitive situation as parents continue to show up looking for answers and obviously wondering what's going on. We have been told, like I said, and I'd like to reiterate that there is a reunification point for parents at Frost Middle School. That's what one of the police officers just said minutes ago. But still a fair amount of confusion as well as fear still going on right here, just about, I would say, 400 yards or so from the school. Annie, I'm going to send it back to you and Lorenzo, but for now, I'm Matt Gregory outside of Wootton High School. Back to you.
Hey, Matt, we talk about this reunification center at Frost Middle School. Do we know when they're going to start moving some of those students who are still in Wootton over to the middle school? Because we know they're still on lockdown at this point.
No, I think just based on kind of the information, watching it on. Yeah, I think based at this point, it's sort of like getting parents over to there now to await students being brought over there when the lockdown does end. But we did see, now one of the things you have heard from some of these parents is that there are students that are also outside the school still. Some are not inside, so you can kind of see off to the left side, perhaps it was gym, I don't know what class it might have been, but off to the left side of your screen here where Ruth is kind of pointing beyond the bridge there, we have seen some students outside the school there. As far as when the lockdown will end, I don't know. Like I said before, one of the parents was showing me messages with his son that said he heard SRT, special response teams, going through the school. He also said, the father did that, or the message his son said he heard banging on the floor above him on the second floor, but he didn't know what that was, just that there was yelling and then there was banging. He couldn't tell what that sound could be. Didn't want to speculate, but like you heard Joel just saying, it's jarring for the students inside. It's very scary. It's a thing that even Joel said, you know, even in this day and age, you never think will happen, and then it does, and he's just kind of in shock that he would talk to us. We truly appreciate it. But yeah, it's kind of what we're seeing. We don't know when students will be let out of lockdown. We're seeing some officers leave, some unmarked vehicles right now, and I haven't seen any forensics teams go in yet. They've mostly been special response unit teams coming in and people putting on things. So yeah.
Yeah, and
so we're going to send it back to you. What are you
based
seeing actually from the helicopter? Because it's hard for us to tell.
I think our vantage point is different. I'm not sure what we're looking at here. Obviously, we don't know if any charges have been filed against anyone or if they have someone arrested, but we can tell you that what you're looking at right now, it appears that this person is handcuffed, and we don't know if they were specifically involved in what happened here at Wootton High School today. We should point that out.
For any of you joining us right now, we are trying to get as much information as possible. This is unfolding in real time, obviously. For students, parents, Lorenzo, this was a typical day. Looking at the bell schedule on the official school website, school gets let out at 2:30 in the afternoon. So this was toward the end of the day in their 7th, 8th period. Matt confirming there that there are no metal detectors, according to the student that he spoke with at this particular school. But they do often practice the, emergency lockdown drills, the active shooter drills, much like every school in the DMV. But this is truly a scary situation right now, especially for parents who don't know exactly what is going on. There's so much confusion. We're showing you aerial shots right now from Sky 9 on the scene. You can see there's
can't
multiple
tell if she's
police
zip-tied or
officers there. It
something.
looks like,
Yeah,
someone
so it's another person
is
as well.
being walked with their hands behind their back there. Unclear exactly what's happening. Obviously more questions and answers right now. We know that a person was shot inside Wootton High School just after 2 o'clock this afternoon. It's unclear if the shooter has been located or if they are still searching for someone. But students are currently right now still inside that school on lockdown.
Yeah, your hope is that this is being resolved. This person, again, who they had handcuffed, we don't know their involvement, but clearly they're being put into the sheriff's SUV there. We saw a woman as well. I don't think she was handcuffed, but it looked like she had on some sort of zip tie, or she was zip tied, so we're not sure what that is about either. But, you know, this goes back to the point of what we were saying before. You hope that this is being resolved at this point. I'm trying to read the posture of these police officers. Typically in these situations, you see them surrounding the building, rushing in, rushing out to make sure everything is okay. And I keep thinking of the students who are still in this building right now, the teachers and staff members who have no idea what is going on. They've been told to, you know, essentially shelter into place. We heard Joel mention that they practice for this several times a year. He said they lock the doors, they close the blinds, and that is exactly what those students in this building are doing right now.
And on top of that, we do have someone shot. We don't know who this person is. Is it a student? Is it a teacher? Is it a faculty member? We just don't know right now, but we know that person has been injured. Don't know the condition. We're trying to get that information for you. I think the most important piece of information that we can pass along to parents at this time is that there is a reunification spot defined by police at his Frost Middle School at 9201 Scott Drive in Rockville, not too far from Wootton High School, but that is where officers are advising parents to head to in order to be reunited with your child.
And that's a very important point that I want to accentuate, Andy, because in these situations, you hear all the time, parents will naturally rush to this school. Wherever this incident has occurred, and officers and school leaders have said over and over that just complicates their efforts when they're trying to organize everything, when they're trying to investigate. So if there are any relatives watching right now, family members, and you're thinking about heading over to Wootton High School, because I know that these images that you're looking at right now are tough, it's heartbreaking, but do go to Frost Middle School. That is the reunification center. That way these police officers can do their job, make sure this situation is under control. And also these students, once this is under control, they can be taken over there to Frost Middle School.
The fear of not knowing what's going on, how your child is doing, I know it's so unbearable, it's so scary, right? And you're watching all of this unfold, but we are trying to get that information, and just to, you know, reiterate that we are working a shooting right now out of Rockville. This is at Wootton High School. One person shot inside the school. It is unclear at this hour if the shooter has been located or if, you know, they're still searching for this person, but we just watched two people, I would say, right, in police custody, a man and a woman, or a female and a male here. I don't know if that's Matt Gregory. Okay, that is not Matt Gregory, but we see two people in police custody. It's unclear what, you know, that connection is to what's unfolding right now at Wootton High School. Again,
all of this happening shortly after 2:15, so this is still relatively fresh. We know it takes a while to get that information. We know the police, they need to figure out exactly what happened here, make sure no other people are involved. They're securing that school just to make sure there are no other threats out there. But all we know right now, definitively, is that one person has been shot inside of Wootton High School. What led up to this shooting, how that happened, any suspects, that is still unclear. And we also heard from a student there confirming as well, Joel, saying that there are no metal detectors there at the school. So that is going to be another concern for a lot of folks once this issue is resolved, and making sure that these students are protected.
Okay, Lorenzo, it looks like we're getting an update here. Frost Middle School is no longer the reunification site.
Okay.
This is new information we're sharing with you. The reunification site will not be at Robert Frost Middle School. They are still working to determine a location. So just adding to the unsettled feeling that parents have right now. We are being told from officers that we do not have a reunification location at the moment. Another update here looks like from Montgomery County Police, they do have one person in custody that is in connection to the shooting at Wootton High School in Rockville. They're going to release more information. We have multiple crews, including Sky 9, on the scene, so hopefully we can get you all some additional details here, but that is what we know right now.
Yeah, and again, back to those images we showed you moments ago, we're not sure if that person is tied to this incident at all, but again, getting that confirmation from police that one person is in custody. So that is good news. That's something you want to hear. We know that there's no longer a manhunt underway. I told you I was looking at the posture of these officers before to figure out if they were searching for someone, what was happening in the school. You can typically read from their movements and their body language as to what may be happening inside.
Again, we don't have any information on the person shot, though. That is still remaining.
That is what we're waiting,
Yes, exactly. And whether this lockdown has been lifted or not, at the moment, our understanding is that the lockdown is in place. Students have not moved out of this building. Matt Gregory was speaking to a student who was let out early, and he let us know that, you know, there are no metal detectors at Wootton High School, and it's all very, very frightening. As you can imagine, the kids inside, the students, they're doing what they trained to do, what they routinely do, these lockdown drills. They're being asked to, you know, stay in the classroom and isolate, close the door, lights out, and find a spot in the classroom and just be quiet. And that moment is playing out right now as they are under this lockdown.
And you wonder, we just saw that live image there. I believe that was live, right? If our producer can confirm, okay, that was video, but we saw them taking the K9 in as well. So clearly they're still investigating, they're still looking for something. And we know that is going to be part of this process. I was asking Matt a little earlier, when Frost Middle School was the Reunification Center, we were wondering when these students will be dismissed, when the lockdown may be lifted. That is not clear. We know that one person is in custody here, but because we don't know exactly what happened inside, only that one person is shot, we're not sure how much longer this is going to go on in terms of the lockdown and keeping these students inside and the investigation. But, you know, obviously we're hoping for the best in terms of this person and their recovery. We don't know the circumstances surrounding what happened or where it even happened in Wootton High School, or if any students were involved, or if any other students even witnessed what happened. Those are all questions that we have at this point. It's going to be a while before we get a lot of those answers, because as you see right here outside of Wootton High School, police are still conducting their investigation. They have just that one person in custody right now. Presumably they're questioning that person to try and get some answers, but always in these situations, they have to make sure the perimeter is secure. They have to make sure everyone inside of this school is secure and there are no other threats. So that is what is happening right now, especially because this happened a little more than an hour ago. So it's still fresh. All right, let's get to our Matt Gregory now. Hey, Matt, are you with us?
You said things are changing by the minute. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we have you now.
Sorry, there might be a bit of a lag. Yeah, okay, so one of the issues we're dealing with, everyone is actually dealing with this, is we are seeing problems with sort of self-service. The more people come, the harder it is to communicate, getting responses from folks, and like you saw right here with me talking to Lorenzo, same issue. Now, we've been trying to gather information, and like things are changing by the minute. 20 minutes ago it was Frost to be the reunification spot that we just all heard an officer say that. Now they're still waiting to see what that looks like next. But we want to give you some insight into sort of what we're hearing from inside. I was talking to a parent earlier. He was texting with his son who was inside a classroom, and this is what we heard from him. Take a listen right here.
I was at work. I got a text from my son. We have a family group thing, and it says that here first was shouting and then just banging, and everybody's locked down. All the lights are off. So obviously I came here right away, and I called 911 right away. They already knew about it, and I don't know what's happening.
Well, what's it? I mean, I know it's an obvious question, but as a parent, you know, you heard this and immediately you came here. Tell me what's going through your head.
I just hope that what's happening, the officers just break the door and go inside. I just don't want them to stay outside. Remind me what happened in Texas, and I don't want that happens here. So I just want to make sure whatever is happening, just go inside, that's all.
And as a parent, what is this?
As a parent, I'm not going to send my kids to school. That's the first thing in my mind. I know it's crazy. I was just telling my wife, homeschooling, I guess, is the best thing to do, because this is not, I mean, these are the parents crying, some are crying, and this is crazy. I'm lucky that I get text from my son here, so I know he's okay. It sounds like I talked to mom. she hasn't heard anything, and this is crazy.
It's insane.
It's insane. It shouldn't happen there, especially in this country. You shouldn't have this kind of stuff. But
And now we just sit here and wait.
just sit and wait. I mean, this is crazy. I didn't have metal. I don't know. Actually, crazy thing is that my daughter is also a middle school here, just down here. I actually a few weeks ago went and talked to the principal, and I said we should put metal detector here. And he's like, oh no, we cannot do that. I mean, what are we waiting for? We should do that. What are we waiting for? This kind of stuff should not happen. I much prefer that they search every single kid before they go inside.
Yeah, so, that's just sort of like the confusion. We were talking to Eric right there about sort of what was happening and what he's going through. And he was showing us messages with his son on the first floor of Wootton High School right now, and on the second floor is where he heard all the commotion. Now, a couple other things to go through as we're here. Like you heard Lorenzo saying confirmed one person in custody. One of the messages I did see from the man's son was that he had heard that someone had been arrested or taken into custody. Again, not confirming whether or not that the person we saw on the screen in cuffs was the person referenced there, but both the man's son as well as the confirmation from Montgomery County Police seem to say that someone is in custody. However, whether or not there is another person or someone else connected to it, we still don't know that much, so we're still working on that information as well. At the same time, when will the lockdown end? When will the students be released? That's another question. Where will the reunification point be? We heard one point, now that it's changed, and we continue to see less of a presence of police being rushed to the scene. It seems like they're sort of at the maximum capacity or threshold for law enforcement that's needed here. But you saw if you were looking at the pictures from above, you saw that there was canines going in. So in addition to any continued search, should there be another connection, another person, there's also going to be sort of a search and a clear of every single room in the building. Like Eric had said in the interview with us, his son is in a closet hiding in the dark. They will not be released until the proper protocol regarding these situations where police search a room, make sure it is clear, will then, and then we don't actually know after this point when how long that is until everyone is cleared. So that could take some time. And in fact, one of the last message I saw from Eric's son to him said, we were told by the teachers this may be a few hours. Sadly, with the context of talking to Joel, we know that training for this happens several times a year. So this is something the students have to train for, they drill for. And at the same time, they're still there's nothing that prepares you for something like this situation. One person shot, one victim. Don't know if it's a student, a teacher, someone else. We don't know much else. We just know that there's two people. There's one person that's been shot. There is one person that we know of is in custody. Don't know what else police are looking for. We're seeing several police officers sort of walk down from the school and talk to the officers here. And on the other side of the camera here, probably about 30 or 40 parents all standing by on their cell phones looking for more information, wanting to know more about what's happening. It's a frantic situation, but you do get the sense over the last 20 to 30 minutes or so that the situation in the school seems to be at least in the phase of searching through. It doesn't seem to be as many police, SWAT units, SRT, special response teams heading to the school. It seems like It seems like there's a resolution on the way, but yet we still don't know. And for many of these parents, they're either messaging with their children, trying to figure it out, getting more information, or they're trying to get a hold of their children. It's just quite a difficult thing. It's very confusing for the parents. It's also quite scary. And just like watching it all unfold in front of my eyes is kind of very difficult to I hope I'm interpreting it all properly to all of you. But that's what we're seeing here as parents come by trying to get information. We're trying to figure out, the status of this police investigation as well as how parents are reunited with their children, because it looks like while Frost Middle School may have been the place 30 minutes ago, that has since changed. Reporting at Wootton High School, I'm Matt Gregory. Back to you, Lorenzo.
Yeah, Annie, you have an update for us as well on how some of these students are going to be getting home?
Yeah, so we are learning from school officials that all students who take the bus will take their regular routes home. Kiss and ride, that is still to be determined because, some of these students get picked up by their parents, and it's a line called Kiss and Ride and car line, and so we're not sure exactly how those students will be reunited with their parents. Also, the reunification site went from Frost Middle School to now undetermined. We're still waiting for that information, but, speaking to Matt's point, obviously parents holding their their breaths until their child or children are safe in their arms. You know, you send them off to school and you just hope and pray that they are safe, that they are in the schools learning in a safe environment, and something like this happens. You know, I think it always sticks out to you. You know that they're doing these drills and they're routinely being trained on how to react in case something like this occurs, but you never really think it could happen. You know, it's just the unthinkable, unimaginable. And so the fear is real. You heard that parent speaking about, just off the cuff, homeschool might be the option. I'm not sending my kids back to school. I mean, that is a real sentiment of parents, I'm sure, learning this news. It definitely is not lost on parents right now just how scary this situation is and the confusion that comes with this, you know, not knowing how they're going to get their child home safe tonight.
And wondering what you tell those students at the end of the school day. We mentioned that they're going to just be put on the bus and shipped back home to their parents, essentially. But after a school day like this, you have to wonder what the message will be to those students to get them to come back tomorrow, because we mentioned before, there are no metal detectors here at this school. This conversation about school safety has been underway for years now, but still nothing. So how do you guarantee their safety the next day? And considering we don't know how this person was shot in the school, what happened, or even who that person is, or their condition
got
right
a
now.
gun inside.
Exactly.
If the person's a student, still clearly so many questions. You can see right here from our crews on the scene, you see some students there at the window. It looks like they're still inside the school. If you are just joining us, this is breaking news out of Montgomery County. Wootton High School, Rockville, Maryland, under lockdown right now this afternoon after a person was shot inside the school. Montgomery County Police on the scene. You have a handful or maybe even more of parents there next to Matt, who is close to the scene, wondering exactly what is going on. We understand from police that a person is in custody connected to this shooting, but we do not know who this person is, and also the person shot inside the school. We're not clear on the condition of this person, but or if the person is a student or a teacher or staff.
Yeah, and looking at this image here of those students just locked up in their classroom really just breaks your heart, because here we are talking about yet another shooting at a school here in our region. This is supposed to be the safest space for these young ones, and yet they're not protected. They should have been home by now. School let out at around 2:30. They should have been ending their day, and instead they're in school confused, wondering what happened, and saying to themselves, am I safe here? Is this really where I need to be and want to be if I'm not protected? It's so easy for someone to get a gun into this building and just shoot someone. That should be alarming to all of us, no matter where you live. The fact that this was so easy for a person to just go inside and shoot someone.
And that is one of the big questions that we have for police later when we get to chat with them. I understand there is a media staging happening. We have crews headed to that location, as well as obviously Matt Gregory on the scene there, Sky 9, giving you those aerial shots, multiple crews being sent to the scene. Hopefully we can get some answers right now, but you know, I think one of the most important questions right now too is the reunification, so that we can make sure that the students who are inside that building get home safely and reunified with or unified with their parents. So we will bring that information to you as soon as we get that. But you know, to your point, Lorenzo, I mean, you look at those kids in the classroom, the window there, they're wondering what is happening, but also in the coming days, and they have to go back into that school, into the classrooms. Parents have to kiss their kids goodbye and get them back into those classrooms to learn. How does that happen, right? With a legit fear of, am I safe in these walls?
And they were just at home for days because of the snow, so they're trying to get back into that routine as well. And then something like this happens, and we should be able to say to parents watching at home right now that hopefully this is a little reassuring, looking at the way these officers are sort of patrolling this building right now. It seems that they do have whatever happened inside under control, because there's no sense of urgency amongst those officers who are surrounding the school. We saw them taking the K-9 in not too long ago. We also saw some officers searching a dumpster near that school. So that's typically an effort to find as much evidence as possible when you're talking about a situation like this, because there are going to be a lot of questions about how this could have happened. And they also want to make sure it doesn't happen again. So that includes just, crossing your T's, dotting your I's, and looking for as much evidence as possible outside of the building and inside as well.
Yeah. You know, I think that you bring up a good point. Moving forward, how will they keep the kids safe? You know, weapons detection is obviously not at this school today, but maybe this is something they'll look at. You know, in Fairfax County, they implemented that. It started off as a pilot program at certain schools, and then they elevated and installed it into most of its middle schools and high schools. And so that is part of everyday life. You know, I'm just speaking as a parent here. My daughter, who is in middle school, she, this past year, had metal detectors installed at her school. And so that became a way of life, a daily occurrence for her, and they adapted to it. Yes, it was scary at first. Yes, it's a lot to take in. Yeah. They wonder, how does this work? What do we bring out of our backpacks? But it is a system that school officials have thought out well, and it's just that extra layer of security, extra layer of reassurance that you're safe.
Yeah.
And so I think just talking to my own kid, she doesn't seem to mind it. She feels like it is an extra layer of protection and security. But, you know, maybe this is something that the county will consider moving forward, the school district, weapons detections or some type of security screening device. Yeah. You know, I mean, with AI, you have the AI weapons detections these days. So we'll see how that plays out. But in the meantime, we do have one person shot within that school, and you know, I'm just praying that this person is okay. Yeah. And we're not sure if this person is a student, a teacher, a faculty member, anyone inside that school. We are trying to get that information for you. But one person shot within the walls of Wootton High School. Obviously, we don't know how this person the shooter got a gun inside the school, if the shooter is a student. But right now, just you have students on lockdown.
Yeah, so this is that's essentially the update at this point. Our Matt Gregory, who has been outside of Wootton High School moments after this shooting happened, talking with students, talking with parents. What more are you seeing and what more are you hearing out there, Matt?
Again, it's still a bit of confusion, right? We just heard, I was talking to some of the parents, and we've heard that like Frost Middle School, which is also under lockdown as a result of this, should be released soon. But then after that, at some point, Wootton High School, the students will be released. Some parents telling us that, you know, the SRT teams are actually going through and checking through every classroom, which is what you'd expect. I mean, the truth of the matter is, you know, since 1990s, there's been some sort of protocol in place for dealing with situations like this. You heard when we were talking to the parent earlier, Eric, he was talking about how with his son, the thing he was most worried about was he was seeing all these officers come here and gather outside the school, and he was worried they weren't going to be going into the school. But you know, by going through his messages with his son, SRT, Special Response Teams from Montgomery County were already inside. Let's take a look at this right here. Now, Ruth and I have been watching this this side of the building, right, of the Wootton High School. And Ruth, if you could get in close to the second floor, you can see this is you know, kind of what the protocol is. All the blinds are down, so no blinds are open in the school. When we were talking to Eric, he said his son was inside a room, lights off, blinds drawn on the windows, and he was in the closet. So just to kind of give you an idea of the tenseness of the situation, just from like that perspective. Now, he told us that his son heard or was telling him via text message, a family group message about all this, that he heard banging on the second floor because he was on the first floor of Wootton High School, but they weren't sure what that was. Now, around 2:15 is when the initial call came out for shots fired at Wootton High School, and that's where police are now confirming one person, a victim. We don't know if it's a student, again, faculty, whomever. One person is shot. We don't know their condition, but we do know they were shot. We also know that one person is now in custody. All of this unfolding here in the last, you know, nearly an hour and a half. Crews from Montgomery County, Gaithersburg, Montgomery County Sheriff's Office as well, flooded to the scene quite quickly. We were told just by talking to a couple of parents that SWAT units or SRT units are inside the building. And now at this point, it's kind of a wait and see as every room has to be gone through. Every single closet has to be opened, and they have to turn over everything to see if there is any other sort of dangers awaiting the students or if there's any sort of unsafe activity continuing to go on. We're on the far end. Now, if you can kind of go a bit beyond where you'll see past the stoplight here up the hill, there's actually a much larger police presence over there as well, which would be the front of Wootton High School. Officers continuing to go in, search, and around there is where you saw someone come out in what looked like handcuffs. Don't know if that is the suspect, how that person is related, but we do know one person is in custody as a result of this particular incident here. But again, like we were saying earlier, one of the things that we do have going on here is that it's past the end of the school day. The students, the sort of evacuation plan, the release plans are all kind of changing and fluctuating. We know Frost Middle School at some point soon should be released from lockdown, and those students will be able to go. And we're still working to find out when Wootton High School will release its students as well. In the meantime, as we've been standing here, there's been about, I would say, I'm kind of looking around here, about 20, 30 parents that are showing up. There's not a lot of areas to park in this particular direction. Ruth's going to give us a look at everything kind of behind us. You can see everyone on their phones trying to talk to their students, trying to find out what's going on, when they'll be released, and what's happening. It's quite obviously a scary event, and it's also confusing. And at the end of the day, like you were saying earlier, that kids are going to have to go back to school again tomorrow. And we know that, like Montgomery County, as well as many counties in Maryland, has an ongoing sort of situation for how to deal with these things. When I was in Anne Arundel County last week for a student who had accidentally brought a gun to school and shot himself, the next day they were offering all sorts of counseling, so we can expect that here in Montgomery County as well. And as Ruth brings the camera back around again, one of the things we are sort of trying to figure out now is not only the reunification spot, but we're also trying to figure out sort of what the investigation looks like going forward here. And we're trying to find out, what has been found in terms of inside. Are there any other suspects? Is it just one in custody? What charge they're facing? What's the condition of the victim? These are all questions we have from Montgomery County Police that we're working on getting answered right now. But, only in the last half hour to 40 minutes or so would I say that the whole situation has sort of at least reached some sort of level of like trying to figure out what's next. So that's where we're at so far in this investigation, the shooting at Wootton High School. Again, 2:15 is when this went out. We're approaching the 4 o'clock hour with just a little bit of information and insight. We talked to a student earlier, and he had kind of given me a little bit more insight. He had been sick today, left school early in first period, and he told me, well, that he was just now finding out this as well and texting with his friends who were telling him how scared they were as well. So a frightening situation. But that's what we're seeing on the ground here, still waiting to get information not only about the release, but obviously the investigation itself, which is now a shooting scene. And we don't know the degree by which the victim was injured. Still working to get that information. But for now, outside of Wootton High School, I'm Matt Gregory. Back to you guys back in the studio.
Hey, Matt, can you show us, because where you are is where you're mentioning a lot of parents are there, a lot of students are there. Can you give us a sense of what the area is like around you? Or any of those parents willing to talk with us about some of the information they've been receiving? Because I can imagine that a lot of what they're getting is conflicting at this point.
So before you came to me, I tried to speak to them, and obviously fear and pain is something that many people don't want to share. They seem to be a bit private about it. The gentleman I talked to earlier has since left the scene. And if you were seeing when Ruth turned the camera on, some people were turning their faces away. I don't think they,
okay.
No, you're fine, Ruth. They weren't really interested. Yeah. But they just kind of every now and then, like anyone, when they're scared, they were just kind of coming up to me asking if I knew anything. Yeah. And I don't either. I know as much as they know, and we're kind of getting the same amount of information. But yeah, it's become a bit more tense, and now the question of how does this all resolve itself is becoming the biggest question.
Yeah, we know police were telling parents to stay away from the school, so I was trying to show people why that is a good idea and why they shouldn't head to the school again, because they're still trying to get the situation under control, even though I know it is incredibly scary and frightening for those parents.
Yeah, not only that, I mean, the other issue is like, there's nowhere to park. The only places you could park right at the school are all up there, and that's blocked off. And then down in this neighborhood, because of the storm, there's no actual, there's no shoulders to any roads for people to park at. So for briefly when we came here, Ruth and I, the photographer, we got to the scene. It was, there was a little backup kind of happening here and there, and there's been all sorts of cars driving in and out of the neighborhoods trying to find somewhere to park just to get nearby. So, in addition to the logistics of having parents come here, right, to try to get. In addition to like those issues, we've also got the problem of just what the storm has created in terms of having a safe place for parents to park their car and walk here if they were trying to collect their child here. I did hear, I thought briefly, that the walking home, like that would go through a different route. They're the kids who walk to Wootton High School, but don't know where that would be yet. Still working to get that information.
Matt, I do think, you mentioned that officers weren't as frantic on the scene. I think that is a promising sign that they do have a secured situation here. Also promising is knowing from police that students who ride a bus will take their regular routes home. I'm assuming that will happen shortly based on the timing of the information they gave it to us. Parents of bus riders are being asked not to come to the school, but we are still waiting for that reunification for non-bus riders, the walkers, the kids who get dropped off, kiss and ride, car line, if you will. So do you have any idea where that might be at this point?
Yeah, I really don't. There's nothing that's even materializing like on the horizon. Like generally you can see sort of either either you can see sort of the school resource officers generally, or you could see the police officers making a way for where this would go to. I don't know which direction it would be. I'm assuming that a majority of this stuff is going to come out of the front of the school, since that's where I see the buses still waiting in front, but I don't know exactly where they would go from here. So that's what we're seeing. I want to send that back to you in the studio.
Okay. For those of you just joining us, right now 3:50 is our time. We've been on this since shortly after 2 o'clock. We are live on WUSA 9 and streaming on WUSA 9 Plus. With this breaking news out of Montgomery County, a shooting at Wootton High School in Montgomery County this afternoon, just after 2 o'clock.
Now, there is clearly a lot that we don't know, but we are working to get you that information, to get you those updates. We know this is a very delicate situation, but we're going to be with you every step of the way, as you heard our Matt Gregory there mentioning as well.
A very fluid situation. We'll go back to our crews when we get more information for you. But right now, we're going to switch gears and speak with Montgomery County Council President Natalie Fani Gonzalez. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me here today.
Really a frightening situation unfolding at Wootton High School. Have you been given any information, any guidance, any detail that you can share with us?
Well, all I know is that the Montgomery County Police, alongside the Rockville City Police and all the first responders, they are now looking into all the details and providing emergency medical care. They're securing the scene and ensuring that all other students are safe. That's all I know, and I know that you're reporting on this. There's going to be a press conference put together by the Rockville City Police Department alongside the county pretty soon. I don't know the exact time, but I was told that it will happen in the next few minutes. I do want to share that I'm pretty shocked and heartbroken by the disturbing shooting at Wootton High School. The safety of our students is our most important priority. And with the police investigation underway, it is paramount that we remain focused on addressing the gun violence in our community. Guns have no place in our schools, and I look forward to a complete investigation report from the Rockville City Police and the Montgomery County Police Department, alongside MCPS as well, on what happened here.
Yeah, Natalie, so with that said, as a leader there in Montgomery County, of course, there are going to be a lot of questions about how this happened, and you mentioned being focused on gun violence. How do you reassure parents and these students who are going to go home tonight and they have questions about the days to come?
I thank you for the question. And also, as a parent, I have kids in MCPS. I feel very disturbed. I feel, when I say that I'm heartbroken, I mean it. It's not a soundbite. This shouldn't happen in our schools at all. So I look forward to a complete investigation by the police department. I know that the individual who was injured in the shooting, it's okay, and I hope that he recovers or she recovers very soon. I just know that it's an individual, and my hearts and thoughts are with their families and ensuring that everybody is safe. But again, as an MCPS parent, I do feel, heartbroken, and I have so many questions to understand what happened here. And I also look forward to the upcoming press conference that I know is going to happen at Wootton High School in the next few minutes to get more information. That's pretty much all I know at this point.
Is there anything you can tell us about that student and if any other students witnessed what happened?
No, I don't know anything. That's all I know. And I understand why they don't want to share all those details with me because it's so soon in the investigation, but that's really all I know.
So is your understanding that the person who was shot inside the school a student at Wootton High School?
And I know that the individual was there, but I don't know exactly what grade, if he's actually a student. But I know that the person is making a full recovery. That's all I know.
Okay, full recovery. That's good to hear.
Yes. Just to piggyback off of Lorenzo's question previously about moving forward, in a situation like this, I would think, tomorrow, we know we've covered these types of stories before, sadly. Counselors are provided for students and staff. But what tangible change might we see? Other school districts have adopted metal detectors, weapons detection devices. Is that something that we might consider here, given the situation?
If we talk about metal detectors as something that we shouldn't be singling out one particular school. That's something that I would consider, and it's not even my decision; it's the school board decision. And it should be a county-wide consideration, and this is not a common situation in our schools. But that's why I really think that I need to wait to get a full report on what happened in this instance instead of jumping onto conclusions here. So,
Natalie, with that said, though, we know that school safety and protecting students, that's been an ongoing conversation for years now, and finding ways to prevent what we saw here. No, it's not common, but we know that one is way too many. So in this situation, what do you do? What do you want to happen in these schools to protect students?
yeah, I think at the very least, there has to be a community conversation within that particular school, as we have done in other situations. But gang violence happens across the United States. It's a crisis that has been actually increasing for the past few years, and it's really heartbreaking to watch. It could happen in any school, and that's how and why is so dangerous, and why, as a parent, sometimes you think, I hope my kids are okay once I send them to the school system. I look forward to a complete investigation on what happened in this particular case, and to have a conversation with the school community and ensure that they have the resources that they need for students to feel safe in their school. At the end of the day, safety is always number one. We cannot expect our students to be, successful in their school if they don't feel safe. So for that, I'm very mindful, and I'm looking for answers to the amount of questions that I have, as well as I know many parents have right now, regardless if their kids go to Wootton High School. I think every single parent, not just in Montgomery County, but across the Washington, D.C. region and the nation, is always having that question: what else can happen to ensure that my kid is okay and that they can come back home? So,
Natalie, before we let you go, if I'm seeing this correctly, there are nearly 2,000 students at Wootton High School from grades 9 through 12. It's a lot of families, a lot of students and lives involved here. You mentioned you are also a parent yourself. What are you telling the families and your own child tonight who might say, I'm afraid to go back to school tomorrow?
That is such a tough question you're asking, and it's an important question. And I know that I will have that conversation with my children. I think, I we expect the very best from our school system, and we expect that our kids are safe and that they're not weapons of any type in our schools system. And that's why I have a whole bunch of questions to understand what happened here. Although this is not a common incident, it happened, and that matters. And I don't want to speculate here, but I do want to ensure that people understand that in Montgomery County, generally, our schools are pretty safe. In this case, we need to find out what happened, and I look forward to the press conference that the Rockville City Police Department, alongside the Montgomery County Police Department and MCPS, is going to have to answer many of your questions.
We do have a question for you. For the reunification, initially we were told it would be at Frost Middle School. Have you gotten any indication or update as far as where parents can go right now to be reunited with their children?
So I am looking, believe it or not, to the Montgomery County Police Department's Twitter account, and that's how I'm getting my latest news, believe it or not. So it says that reunification site has been confirmed as Robert Frost Middle School, located at 9201 Scott Drive in Rockville.
Okay.
This was posted a few seconds ago.
Okay, so maybe that is still the location and it hasn't changed.
Yes.
All right, Natalie Fani Gonzalez with the Montgomery County Council, thank you so much for being
Thank
here with us.
you.
Unfortunately, this had to
Thank
be
you
our
so
conversation.
much for your dedication and making sure families are getting updates.
Yeah, you stay safe. We're thinking
Same
of
to
our
you.
neighbors there in
Thank you so
Montgomery
much
County.
for your time. All
Okay,
right.
again, I guess coming up on 4 o'clock now, we are bringing you breaking news. We've been with you since shortly before 3 o'clock today after getting word of a shooting inside of Wootton High School. That shooting happened at around 2:15 today. We know, I guess they are listening to the Montgomery County Council member there, Natalie, saying that the person who was shot, we know that they are young, and she says they are making a full recovery.
Yeah,
so
was
that is good
big
news. At least we
out
got
of
an update
that.
on their condition.
Yes, so that we know through Natalie, who I assume got it from authorities on the scene, and on good word. But you know, still a lot of questions. But we've learned a lot in the last hour, Lorenzo, not just from Natalie, but from our crews on the scene. We now know from police and Matt Gregory that they do have a person in custody in connection to this shooting. We know that they are working right now to get students back into the arms of their parents. Reunification is at Frost Middle School, which is Scott Drive in Rockville. All students who take the bus will be put on the same route so that they can get home safely. Kiss and ride and walkers and anyone who gets picked up, that is still something that we are trying to get that information to parents.
All right, just to reiterate here as we take a live look at Sky 9, which has been over that scene for more than an hour now. Again, we do not know the status or the identity of the person shot. That school is still on lockdown right now. Again, we're talking about Wootton High School in Rockville on Wootton Parkway.
Sky 9 over the scene the moment we saw police put one person in handcuffs. Authorities have not identified that person. Our Matt Gregory is at the scene now and spoke to students and parents. Matt, what have you learned?
Yeah, listen, like you were just saying, parents, this confusion the parents are dealing with is that, you know, that we were told an hour ago Robert Frost Middle, then someone said it wasn't. Now again, you know, you're seeing Montgomery County Police saying Robert Frost Middle School is going to be the reunification point. And they actually, as we were talking to police earlier, they were saying that, you know, first Robert Frost Middle School will be the one that will be released because that has also been under lockdown as a result of this incident. And then eventually we will see Thomas E. Wootton. But like if you're just joining us and you're trying to figure out what's going on, here's what we've learned. Around 2:15 is when we got reports of shots fired inside Thomas Wootton High School here in Rockville. The school immediately went into lockdown. Since then, we've learned from police that one person is in custody. There is one victim. We do not know the status of that victim. We're working to learn that. We also do not know if there's only one shooter, one suspect, or what the person in custody even is. These are all details we're working to learn about right now. And you can take a look right here. You can still see the police presence heavily around Thomas Wootton High School. I want to point something out, and Ruth, my photographer, you can show it too. As you get up closer into the first and second and third floors of Wootton High School, you can see the shades drawn on the windows, not because of the sun. This is part of the protocol when it comes to school lockdowns. And so earlier when we got here, we were trying to get a feel for what was going on. We talked to a father who said his son was inside hiding in a closet. Take a listen to that father's sound and what he saw.
I was at work. I got a text from my son. We have a family group thing, and it says that here first was shouting and then just banging, and everybody's locked down. All the lights are off, so obviously I came here right away, and I called 911 right away. They already knew about it, and I don't know what's happening.
Well, what's it? I mean, I know it's an obvious question, but as a parent, you know, you heard this and immediately you came here. Tell me what's going through your head.
I just hope that what's happening, the officers just break the door and go inside. I just don't want them to stay outside. Remind me what happened in Texas, and I don't want that happens here. So I just want to make sure whatever is happening, just go inside, that's all.
And as a parent, what is this?
as parents, I'm not going to send my kids to school. That's the first thing in my mind. I know it's crazy. I was just telling my wife, homeschooling, I guess, is the best thing to do because this is not. I mean, these are the parents crying, some are crying, and this is crazy. I'm lucky that I get text from my son here, so I know he's okay. Yeah. It sounds like I talked to mom. She hasn't heard anything, and this is crazy. It's insane. It's insane. It shouldn't happen there, especially in this country. It shouldn't have this kind of stuff. Yeah. But
and now we just sit here and wait.
Just sit and wait. I mean, this is crazy. I didn't have metal. I don't know. Actually, crazy thing is that my daughter is also a middle school here, just down here. I actually a few weeks ago went and talked to the principal, and I said we should put metal detector here. Yeah. And he's like, "Oh no, we cannot do that." I mean, what are we waiting for? Yeah. We should do that. What are we waiting for? This kind of stuff should not happen. I much prefer that they search every single kid before they go inside.
Now, one of the things we did hear when we were talking to him earlier was that many people were saying, and that we've talked to have said, they've seen SRT units inside. The students are telling that they're going door to door, classroom to classroom, trying to make sure that everything is fine, that the danger is clear, but that will take some time. At the same time, as you're looking here, we're also starting to see unmarked police cars with lights flashing coming in. Those are generally speaking investigators who are usually getting here now, because you not only have to assess the dangerous situation, clear the rooms, but then the police investigation picks up. We do not know whether or not that person in custody, what their relation is to the shooting. We just do know one person is in custody. We're working to learn more information about that. Again, these are the sort of things that when you're watching an active investigation, you cannot say with complete confidence that the person in custody has been arrested. We'll have to wait to see charges coming. Now, as far as what's happening inside this school, we talked to a student who actually called out sick today from Wootton High School. And when we spoke with him, we wanted to know, number one, what he was hearing inside. We also wanted to know, sort of, are there metal detectors inside? What's the kind of drilling and training for situations like this? This is what Joel Shore told us.
I mean, I'm okay. Honestly, I'm kind of shocked by this. This is very, unexpected.
Yeah.
Right. I've been going here for quite some time, and I just haven't seen anything like this at school before. I've heard about it at other schools, but never at Wootton.
You've been texting with your friends. What are they saying? Are they hearing anything inside the building? Is anything being shared with them information-wise?
I mean, they haven't really said, but I've been asked, are you guys okay? How are you guys feeling? Yeah. And it seems like everyone inside is extremely scared. Yeah. Right. And shocked.
Do they have metal detectors inside Wootton, or any sort of weapons detector? That's one question one of our anchors was asking.
No, I don't believe they do. I wish they did, but they don't have metal detectors because, zippers, binders, okay. So, yeah.
Oh, so when you walk in, you just walk right in the door?
You walk in, they check your student ID, and then you just walk right in.
Yeah, now, one of the things he did say that Joel did, was that they do drilling and training several times a year for situations like that. And between talking to him and talking to that parent, it seems like all the protocols in that way were sort of were followed, at least. Now, as we come back out, I want to recap a little bit about what's going on. Right now, Wootton High School is still under lockdown. No time period yet on when students will be released. We know that the reunification point for parents will be at Robert Frost Middle School, which is right on the back end of Wootton here, just off Thomas Wootton Parkway. And at the same time, as we work through figuring out how that's going to be, when the releases will be, the buses will be running on their same routes when students are released. And we're still trying to figure out which path the walkers will be taking to get out there. Part number two that we're working on, obviously, is the ongoing investigation here. One person shot, do not know their status yet, working with Montgomery County Police to find out whether that person was taken to the hospital, what is going on there. I did see a couple of units, like an ambulance and a ladder truck come by, trying to see how that's playing into this. And then we're looking at the criminal investigation aspect. We know one person is in custody. Is that person a suspect? Is it a shooter? Was there one? Were there multiple? Still working to get that information. And when we do, we will bring it to you. We're going to be here on scene working throughout the evening. We do know at some point, Rockville Police, it sounds like the Montgomery County Council President, Nanny Fanny Gonzalez, was saying, Natalie Fanny Gonzalez was saying that The Rockville police are heading up this investigation. They've sort of taken the lead, so we're going to be looking to them as well as Montgomery County Police to find out the latest. But for now, that's what we're seeing here at Thomas Wootton High School. I'm obviously going to be on the scene working to find out more information. When we do, we'll bring it to you. But for now, in Rockville, I'm Matt Gregory, WUSA 9.
Thanks, Matt. Is that a live shot from Sky 9? If we can go back to it, that is good news. It looks like some of those students are actually being dismissed. If we can take that full and live, there you go. After close to 2 hours now being on lockdown inside of their school, it looks like dismissal is underway to get those students back home.
Yeah, which tells us that they've checked every nook and cranny of that school, making sure that there is no danger outstanding. But yeah, it looks like a handful of students are being reunited is the word, I'm sorry, excuse me, with their parents there. So that is a good sign there.
Yeah, we got to talk about security and school safety because these children are heading back home. We are still waiting to find out what happened inside of that building. But we do know that has been confirmed. One person was shot. We heard Joel, the student there, called out sick today, saying that when he walks in, he just has to show his ID and that's it.
It's an ongoing debate with high schools, both in Montgomery County and really all across the nation, whether or not you put metal detectors in them, and if so, what the impact of those metal detectors are. Now, we did some research on all this. Here's what we found out. There are no metal detectors in any Montgomery County public schools. That's a Montgomery County Board of Education decision. It's worth noting the neighboring school district, Prince George's County, is taking a different approach starting in 2023-24 school year. The Prince George's County invested more than $4 million to install AI-powered weapons detection systems in all of its high schools and some middle schools as well. Now, those are walk-through scanners specifically designed to detect weapons, not just any metal object. Think about going into a ball game these days where you can kind of leave your keys in your pocket. Montgomery County chose to go a different route. Instead, the county relies on what's called community resource officers in all of its high schools. Now, what we're learning is that the Rockville City Council recently moved to supplement that county-wide program by funding additional resource officers from the city, specifically at Wootton High School and Richard Montgomery High School. The big question coming out of all this for a lot of people in this community, and as you've already heard, some parents, why didn't Montgomery County follow Prince George's County's lead and put weapons detection systems in its school? That's a question we're going to be pressing the Board of Education on.
Eric, you've been reporting on this for a while now, the metal detectors in schools, I think since 2022. What are some of the pros and cons that you hear from school officials about this?
Well, I mean, it's kind of that age-old thing. We don't want our kids feeling like they're going to school in a war zone, but the issues kind of go deeper than that, really. We've talked to school officials across the region about this. The arguments come down to cost, logistics, and effectiveness. School administrators are going to tell you 1,000 or more kids trying to get through weapons detector systems every morning in time to get to a class is a logistical challenge. They'll tell you staffing those machines properly is a full-time job. It's expensive. Some will tell you there's no guarantee the technology stops a shooting like the one we saw today. But here's the flip side, and this part is important. Districts that have installed these weapons detectors say all the concerns are overblown. We visited North Dorchester High School on Maryland's Eastern Shore a couple years back, just after they spent $1 million putting weapons detection systems in all of their secondary schools. The principal there told us his students and teachers feel safer, that the technology has improved. These aren't your old school metal detectors that go off for belt buckles and cell phones. These are designed specifically to detect weapons. Again, think about walking into the Nats game or Capital One Arena. They do work. The first week that county on the Eastern Shore turned their systems on, they flagged a butterfly knife with a 4-inch blade in a student's backpack. The principal there told me, I'm paraphrasing here, the technology isn't about catching kids with car keys, it's about stopping someone who walks in with a weapon designed to do harm with that weapon. Keep in mind right now in our area, DC public schools use metal detectors in middle and high schools. As I mentioned, Prince George's County has invested in AI weapons detection, and Fairfax County Schools just started a pilot program for AI weapons detection scanners last year in a select number of schools. This past fall, they started the process of phasing those scanners into all secondary schools in the county. They also used those same scanners at high school football games last season.
Yeah, so clearly this has been an issue, and a lot of other jurisdictions have taken measures to make sure these students are safe. And it goes back to the question of, what's taken so long in Montgomery County. Yes, we have this one incident today, but there have been others where students have brought weapons to school.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the unfortunate situation is that sometimes it takes an incident like this to ultimately
Prompt the conversation
and action. I think the biggest question you're going to have is, why was Montgomery County so far behind some of these other counties in our own area that have taken that action? And that's going to be a tough question for those school leaders to answer.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but in case, do you know, are those security officers, I mean, when I was in school, they were called student resource officers. They were not armed. Now, we did have county police, at least one outside the school, but I don't even think I don't think all schools have the security officers that are armed.
Yeah, and there was a debate in Montgomery County that came down to whether or not it was called a resource officer, a community resource officer, and there are a lot of dynamics behind it. So we're still working to find out exactly how equipped those officers are with weapons or not with weapons, and exactly what purpose and function they are able to kind of serve within those schools. But we do know that Rockville City and their city leaders felt strongly enough about it to feel like they had to add additional resource officers to those schools in their city because they just didn't feel comfortable with what was being done on the county level, although again, something was being done on the county level.
I think another layer to this, I'm just thinking as a mom here, is the cell phone issue too, because I know that has been a contentious thing as well with devices. I think in a situation like this, you want to hear from your child if you can, even if they are locked down inside a classroom because of the lockdown drill, to even just say, I'm here, I'm okay. But in Montgomery County, do you know what the device policy is? I'm just looking online here, and it sounds like it's not as strict as surrounding jurisdictions like Fairfax, where the kids do have access to their devices.
Right, and the other thing is that a lot of times in these situations, the phones have to be away, but obviously in an emergency situation, you would think they could get into a backpack. But I think, these situations bring forward really all of these debates when you kind of go look at the balance between school safety and the need to let these kids learn in a safe environment, in a welcoming environment, in an environment without distractions, which all sounds well and good until something like what happened today happens, and then you kind of look back in hindsight.
Because we're still waiting to find out who was shot at Wootton High School today, and imagine being a parent and not having contact with your child and wondering, all this time, is my child okay? We heard from that father Matt Gregory spoke with. He had been in touch with his kid because he had a cell phone to say, I'm okay, I'm good to go, I'm safe. So again, it lends itself to that debate again. You talk about weapons detection systems, should cell phones be allowed in schools, all part of this conversation.
And we saw those images of the kids finally being let out of the school, it appeared, after it was on lockdown, and finally getting to reunite with their families. But obviously, you just never think that you're going to be forced to hear a gunshot, in your kid's high school. And a couple of us up here on the desk have kids, and you just think about what that experience is like for those kids, and how devastating it is, and it just kind of makes everybody take a step back, because ultimately all the debates over precautions are kind of ancillary to making sure students stay safe. And it sounds like somebody was hurt in that high school today.
All right, Flack, thank you
Flack,
for the update.
thank you.
All right.
Okay, so we know right now one person was shot Monday afternoon in a shooting that occurred inside Wootton High School. We are just getting word that the individual shot was a student, and the student is in stable condition. We also learned from Councilmember Natalie Fani Gonzalez that she was alerted that this student would make a full recovery. So that is some good news coming out of this. According to police, they did not share additional information about the victim, Lorenzo, but at least we know now that the person shot will make a full recovery, and that person is a student at Wootton High School.
Yeah, in terms of the lockdown, we are still waiting to get word on that in terms of when it will officially end. We can see those buses still parked outside of Wootton High School. This shooting occurring just minutes before dismissal. We did get word that these students who ride the bus will be taking the bus home. In terms of those students who don't ride the bus, they will be taken to Frost Middle School to be reunited with their family.
That's right. And we also know that one person is in custody at this hour. That information coming from police just after 3:20 this afternoon, so about an hour into this shooting incident. So we will hopefully get more information from police. We're waiting to hear from them. They're going to hold a press briefing shortly, so of course we will bring that to you. But that is everything we know right now, and I believe we're going to go to break right now.
This is changing by the minute, so we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Stay right here. Okay, we are still staying on top of that breaking news today outside of Wootton High School in Montgomery County. A shooting at around 2:15 today. We're learning that a student was shot inside of this school. That student, as we understand, is in stable condition at this hour. We also know that one person is in custody. They were captured shortly after, but we are still waiting to find out exactly how this all happened and also what it's going to take to get these students who are still inside of Wootton High School back home with their families. We will continue to update you on that.
Yeah, and we did see a handful of students at Frost Middle School being reunited with their parents. We're told that is the Reunification site. So parents, if you haven't received a text message or haven't gotten an email from the county, we know that Frost Middle School at 9201 Scott Drive in Rockville is the Reunification site. The student was found in a hallway, we're told, inside the school with one gunshot wound. Again, as Lorenzo said, that student is in stable condition. We're told by Councilmember Natalie Fani Gonzalez that she got word that this student will make a full recovery. So that is some promising, some good news coming out of this. Meanwhile, again, students, many students still within Wootton High School right now waiting to be, reunited with their parents. But we're told that all students who ride a bus will take their regular routes home once they start releasing them. Parents of bus drivers are asked not to come to the school. Do not go to Wootton High School. The reunification location is Robert Frost Middle School, and we are waiting for a press briefing. Lorenzo, looks like it's going to be at 6 p.m. And so we will be bringing that to you all as soon as we get that press briefing underway.
All right. In the meantime, we want to press pause here and get a check on your forecast. Meteorologist Caitlin McGrath is here with us tonight. Hi, Caitlin.
WUSA 9 Weather Impact is sponsored by Morgan & Morgan.
Well, not nearly as frigid as it was over the weekend, but it's been a pretty chilly start to the week. Looking live from EarthCam, we've got sunshine, a few clouds continuing to blend in, and that will be the case as we head throughout the evening. Our temperature right now in the district, only 32 degrees, but without much wind, it's not feeling any colder than it actually is. Now, despite increasing clouds, temperatures will still fall pretty quickly here over the next several hours. We're down in the 20s shortly after the sun goes down tonight, and then overnight, it doesn't get much colder than that. Plan on waking up with temperatures in the teens and 20s early Tuesday morning, right around 22 degrees in the district, 21 in Manassas, 21 back into Martinsburg, a few upper teens for areas farther north and west. And after a little bit of a chilly start to the day, which honestly, this compared to this morning, not too shabby, temperatures do make it back in the 40s for Tuesday afternoon. It's finally going to feel brutally cold stretch of weather that really started in the middle of January. But for tomorrow, we'll see a nice blend of sunshine and clouds and temperatures that are back in the mid to upper 40s around the district. But there will be a pretty solid spread in temperatures. We'll have a northeasterly wind, which means temperatures off to the north and east will stay cooler. We'll stay in the mid to upper 40s in spots like Westminster and Frederick. But the farther south and southwest you get, the milder it will be. Could even see some 50s pushing 60 in spots like Front Royal, Culpeper, and Fredericksburg, right around 49 in Manassas, 46 in Frederick for a high temperature on Tuesday. And temperatures will generally stay closer to average as we head through much of the rest of the week, even a few degrees milder on Wednesday before we do look to turn a little bit cooler, but still in the 40s as we close out the work week on Thursday and Friday. But then as we head into the weekend, we've got some changes on the way. So enjoy the milder temperatures over the next several days. We will finally see all of this snowcrete soften. So if you still have a little cleanup to do over the next several afternoons, will be a great time to do so. But keep in mind, temperatures are still below freezing overnight, so there will still be some black ice, and we're starting to see some melting off of roofs and areas like that. So just be careful as you're out and about walking around town. Watch for any of that melting snow. Now, Saturday looks like the pick day of the weekend. Temperatures still not too bad in the 40s, but then by Sunday, we're going to see clouds thicken up kind of late Saturday night and into early Sunday morning before our next storm system looks to move through. And there's still a lot in question right now, but you can see this computer model in particular brings in precipitation by late Sunday morning and into the afternoon. Now, I think this model is a little aggressive with a burst of snow at the onset because I think temperatures are just going to be too warm. It'll be in the 20s and 30s early Sunday morning, but throughout the afternoon, I do think we climb warm enough that we would just see some maybe light, wet snow at the onset briefly and then ending as rain as we head through Sunday night and into Monday morning. We will watch for more of a mix for areas north and west where it will be a little bit cooler, but for the most part, I think we're in for a rain event as we head through Sunday afternoon and evening and even into early on President's Day on Monday. Could have some showers to start before that rain does clear out of here throughout the second half of the day. So that'll be our next storm system to watch. Again, still a lot of uncertainty in terms of the start of the precip time and what kind of precipitation we can expect. But for the most part, I would plan on rain that will stick around into early on President's Day. But we will have nice sunshine in the days leading up to it, which again will lead to quite a bit of melting or at least softening of some of this snowcrete with temperatures that are finally feeling more like they should for this time in February. And then as we head into the weekend, looks gorgeous for Valentine's Day. I mean, near 50 with sunshine on Valentine's Day. That is going to be a day to get outside and enjoy.
Caitlin, thank you. It has been a closely watched journey that's captured the nation's attention. 24 monks, Buddhist monks, walking for peace for months now. And today they finally reached Alexandria and Arlington, and their message of peace and mindfulness has resonated with crowds who line the streets, most of whom aren't even Buddhist.
Yeah, our Matthew Torres is joining us live tonight at Marymount University in Arlington, where the monks stopped for the day. And Matthew, we know this was a special moment for so many people, huh?
Yeah, definitely, Zoe. Hundreds, if not thousands, watched the monks in Alexandria this morning. They're supposed to be making their way here to Marymount University and get here between 5 and 6:30 p.m. But wherever they've been here in Northern Virginia, these monks have been met with open arms. Take a look at what it was like down in Old Town Alexandria today. Police escorted the monks as crowds greeted and thanked them along Washington Street. Prior to that, Alexandria city leaders honored the monks with a proclamation and pin to celebrate this moment. The monk leading the walk also gave a speech about appreciating what we have and avoiding negative thoughts festering. They've been walking for 107 days, promoting the message of peace and mindfulness in a time of political divisiveness. They will make their way to D.C. tomorrow with stops at American University, the National Cathedral, and George Washington University. Through freezing temperatures and snow, their walk inspired so many people, including Leslie O'Donnell.
It was quick, but it was such a moment in time that just felt so long. It was beautiful. I don't know about you, but I feel it's just beautiful, and I thank them for coming here.
Philadelphia, to be able to witness this moment, the monks have been handing out peace bracelets, and they say to date they've handed out more than 100,000 bracelets. That monk who gave that speech earlier today says they also plan to stop at the White House. Guys?
All right, Matthew Torres, thanks for that. The monks could slow down traffic a bit as they walk into the nation's capital. Terry Hornstein showing us what drivers need to know.
This group of monks is nearing the end of their journey. That destination, Washington, D.C. But for tonight, they will rest in Arlington before heading out on foot nice and early. So tonight they'll rest at Marymount University, but tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., that's their expected time where they will leave Arlington and head towards D.C. There could be some slowdowns as you head out for that morning commute if you're traveling through Arlington or in Northwest D.C. So after they leave, they will head towards D.C., as I said, towards the National United Methodist Church. That's where they'll stop for lunch. Then they'll have an interfaith ceremony at the Washington National Cathedral. So you could see some slowdowns on any of the roads surrounding this area. We're talking about close to AU, a very busy area of D.C., so something to keep in mind. They haven't just yet put out their exact route, but of course, as soon as we know, we'll let you know. But just something to keep in mind as you head out in Arlington or D.C., there could be some slowdowns as these monks make their way to D.C. Back to you.
All right, Terry, thank you. And of course, we are still following that breaking news out of Wootton High School. A student shot after 2 o'clock today. We'll get you the very latest in just a minute. Stay right here.
The news at 4:30 begins with breaking news out of Montgomery County. About 10 minutes ago, we learned that a student was shot inside Wootton High School. That student is at a local hospital and expected to recover.
Yeah, and we're also told that a student is in custody. Sky 9 is over that scene right now, or was a little earlier. We have some video for you. At this point, we do not know the condition or identity of the person who was shot, but we can tell you that school is still in lockdown mode.
Again, this is Wootton High School located in Rockville on Wootton Parkway. As Lorenzo mentioned, Sky 9 was over the scene earlier this afternoon, just after 2 o'clock, the moment that we saw police also putting one person in handcuffs. Authorities have not identified that person.
Now, our Matt Gregory, he is at that scene right now and spoke to students and parents shortly after this shooting happened. Matt, what an awful day for that community. What more are you learning about what happened here?
I mean, at this point, as you've kind of been going through the details, we're seeing that parents are kind of wrapped with this confusion of what do we do now, right? Like the resolution. At one point, we were told Robert Frost Middle School, which is just across the way. That's the reunification point. But parents have been getting mixed signals. They've gone over there and been told, well, don't wait for them here. And at the same time, Frost Middle School was under lockdown. Those students were released, but then we saw some leave, and then some were told to come back in. So you can see there's, in addition to the fear and the anxiety, there's also this massive confusion going on with how this is all going to wrap up in the resolution. But the scene right now from, I want to say, from Bishop Hurley, or from Hurley Boulevard all the way to Scott Drive, is going to be along Wootton right here, Thomas Wootton Parkway. This whole area right here where you're seeing police, they've kind of blocked it off, and all the way up to the front of the school is where the kind of the police line is. There's no real way of getting in or out. We're starting to see more and more buses coming. In fact, there's going to be a bus that's going to come into your shot right here in just a second, and it's empty, as you can see. What we've been told is that the students will, at some point when they're released, be put on buses and taken to Robert Frost, and that's where the reunification point will be for students. But again, these are all sort of details that are kind of developing in the moments, but that was what we've heard so far. Parents will be able to pick up their students at Frost Middle School, but they will be taken on buses from Wootton to Frost. That's what we know so far. But again, we were also learning, right, there's one victim in this. We do not know their status, other than they were taken to a hospital. And Natalie Fani Gonzalez from Montgomery County's, the Montgomery County Council was the one who told us that that person is in stable condition and is expected to make a recovery. So we know that that is a student. We also know that at least that one suspect is in custody. That is also a student. And I am hearing that there may be reports that they're looking for potentially more people involved, but police are looking for more people involved, but we don't have that confirmed, and we're working to get more information, but at least one person in custody. Now, in addition to all this confusion, right, that's going on now, there was also that fear that gripped throughout the day. Students in lockdown, hiding in classrooms, waiting for the SRT, special response teams, to come through and clear the classrooms. And we talked to a parent who showed up, within minutes of getting the alert that this is what was happening. This is what he described, not only of what he was feeling, but what he saw or what he got from his son, who was texting him from inside one of the classrooms. Take a listen.
I was at work. I got a text from my son. We have a family group thing, and it says that here first was shouting and then just banging, and everybody's locked down, all the lights are off. So obviously I came here right away, and I called 911 right away. They already knew about it, and I don't know what's happening.
Well, what's it? I mean, I know it's an obvious question, but as a parent, you heard this and immediately you came here. Tell me what's going through your head.
I just hope that what's happening, the officers just break the door and go inside. I just don't want them to stay outside. Remind me what happened in Texas, and I don't want that happens here. So I just want to make sure whatever is happening, just go inside, that's all.
And as a parent, what is this?
As a parent, I'm not going to send my kids to school. That's the first thing in my mind. I know it's crazy. I was just telling my wife, homeschooling, I guess, is the best thing to do, because this is not, do you see all the parents crying, some are crying, and this is crazy. I'm lucky that I get text from my son here, so I know he's okay. It sounds like I talked to mom, she hasn't heard anything, and this is crazy.
It's insane.
It's insane. It shouldn't happen there, especially in this country. You shouldn't have this kind of stuff. But
and now we just sit here and wait?
Just sit and wait. I mean, this is crazy. I didn't have metal. I don't know. Actually, crazy thing is that my daughter is also a middle school here, just down here. I actually a few weeks ago went and talked to the principal, and I said we should put metal detector here. And he's like, oh no, we cannot do that. I mean, what are we waiting for? We should do that. What are we waiting for? This kind of stuff should not happen. I much prefer that they search every single kid before they go inside.
You can hear that there in his voice, the fear and anxiety in that father's voice, trying to figure out what's going on, but then also how did this all happen? Talking to folks, as they've been waiting to see, we're also seeing more and more police units, unmarked vehicles leaving. Not sure what that's signaling, not sure what that would mean, but I also am now seeing one of Montgomery County buses come down Wootton Parkway. We're trying to figure out as the buses start to come here, how close are the students to being released? We don't know that yet. We do know that there will be a press conference starting around 6 o'clock, and Rockville police have taken the lead as far as we know in this investigation, or at least kind of disseminating information. But Montgomery County police have been extremely helpful in kind of getting out sort of the different layers of the investigation as we've gone through it today. Now, as far as what it's like inside the school, we actually did talk to a student who said he was sick at school, left early, but came by after he heard what had happened. This was around 2:15, right when the shooting happened. He came by maybe 45 minutes later, and we asked this young man, Joel Shore, we said, what did you see what are you hearing from inside the building? And then also, what is sort of the security status like inside Wootton High School? And, are there metal detectors? Are there weapons detectors? He said, as you'll hear here, no, there aren't. Take a listen.
I mean, I'm okay. Honestly, I'm kind of shocked by this. It was just very, unexpected.
Yeah.
Right. I've been going here for quite some time, and I just haven't seen anything like this at school before. I've heard about it at other schools, but never at Wootton.
You've been texting with your friends. What are they saying? Are they hearing anything inside the building? Is anything being shared with them information-wise?
I mean, they haven't really said, but I've been asked, are you guys okay? How are you guys feeling? Yeah. And it seems like everyone inside is extremely scared, right? And shocked.
Do they have metal detectors inside Wootton or any sort of weapons detector? That's one question one of our anchors was asking.
No, I don't believe they do. I wish they did, but they don't have metal detectors because, zippers, binders, so, yeah.
Oh, so when you walk in, you just walk right in the door?
If you walk in, they check your student ID, and then you just walk right in.
All right, now I'm going to direct your attention to what you're seeing here, and it might be difficult to kind of make it out because it is kind of far away. It's about 400 yards. No, it's not. About maybe 100 yards from where I'm standing right now. But we're looking at one of the school buses right outside of Wootton High School, and over the last couple of minutes, we've actually seen what looks to us, and to our eyes at least, as students getting on the buses. Now, one of the things about this sort of evacuation, or at least the release, is that they're going to send buses on their normal routes home when they're released, we've been told, and then buses will also take students over to Frost Middle School to be released, to be reunified with their parents. You can see some folks getting on the bus there. We haven't gotten any report, by the way, from MCPS that there has been a release, but we did see what looked to our eyes like students getting on the buses right here. So we're waiting to find out what that means, how close are they to releasing the students, but that's just a little bit of what we're seeing from right here on the scene as we're trying to gather more information. Again, right now the bus is starting to, if you just bear with me, the bus is leaving now. We'll see which direction it's kind of headed to. This is a scene that's quite, tense, and it's also, like I said a couple of times, this is very confusing for parents. What is going on? Are the students going to be released? When will they be released? Who's coming out? So as this bus comes by, we'll get a look inside to see if these are students, or at least to the best of our kind of ability to discern. And it's this day and age, folks are relying on messages, text messages, or updates. And so as we go by here, it looks like what we've got inside. Tinted windows, so it's a bit hard. It looks like the bus is full. Yeah, it looks like it's full of students at least, so not sure what that means. Have people been released? Who's being taken out of it? This is kind of what we're seeing here at the scene. Everyone kind of waiting for answers, waiting for updates from text messages, and we'll see if another bus comes by soon. There's a few there, but that's kind of the situation here. If we could kind of go back into just give you a little bit of insight into what we know so far. 215 shots fired, one student victim hurt, taken to the hospital. The Montgomery County Council president saying that student is in stable condition, but don't know the extent of the injuries or what that means, just stable condition. We also know at least one person is in custody, also a student. We don't know if there are any other any other suspects in this? Is it just this one person? We're working to learn that information. And at some point, we believe that there will be a release within the next hour or so. We just saw a bus come by full of what appeared to our eyes as students. So we're working to get more information, and we'll be covering this throughout the evening. And you can stick with us at WUSA 9 to get the latest information as this situation continues to develop minute after minute, hour after hour. But for now, outside of Wootton High School in Rockville, I'm Matt Gregory. Back to you.
Yeah, Matt, and that was pretty encouraging. We can tell you that the bus that just went by you was full of students. Your photographer there was able to zoom in, and we caught some of their faces a little earlier. Also, Montgomery County Public Schools confirming that dismissal is underway there at Wootton High School. Again, students who ride the bus will take their normal routes home, and the other students who may typically walk home will be taken to Frost Middle School instead.
So progress is happening out there. Matt, thanks for the report. I imagine there will be some serious and tough questions happening tonight within families and among officials, but one thing for sure is I know parents are going to be hugging their kids a little tighter tonight as well.
What a day.
Yeah, you can expect more from WUSA 9 on the shooting at 5 p.m. and throughout the day. For updates anytime, right now is the best time to download our WUSA 9 app on your phone. Watch us anytime on the free WUSA 9 Plus streaming app. That way you can keep informed about what exactly is happening. We'll be right back.
WUSA 9 Weather Impact is sponsored by Morgan & Morgan.
Okay, well, some good news here is that we've got warmer days ahead, right?
Yeah, today wasn't too bad.
No,
it was still
considering.
kind of chilly though. But the rest of the week is going to be back in the 40s, which we haven't seen since early January. So
Isn't it sad that we think that's great?
Yeah, right? We're just
My
reaching
gosh.
for the 40s.
yeah, winter that feels like winter is, I guess, something to look forward to after how bitter cold it's been. But we're not totally done with winter weather quite yet. So Here's what we've got going on over the next several days. We've got increasing clouds right now. It was a beautiful sun-filled day, but those clouds will continue to thicken up overnight and stick around for early Tuesday. But tomorrow is another really nice day. And looking ahead to our next round of wintry weather possible, that looks to be Sunday. So still almost a week away, but could start off as a burst of some wet snow before flipping over to rain on Sunday. Now, there is a chance that this stays a purely rain event, but this is your heads up that that's the next chance for some winter weather that we are watching. But before we even get to the weekend, we have much milder weather to enjoy for the week ahead. Now, right now, temperatures are still kind of clinging around the freezing mark, but once the sun goes down, we'll dip into the 20s and generally stay in the mid to upper 20s as we head throughout the evening. It will not be nearly as cold as you wake up tomorrow morning as it was this morning. We had single digits and teens to get out the door early on Monday, but tomorrow will generally be in the low 20s, so not too shabby. We'll be right around 22 in D.C., 21 in Manassas and Culpeper, 23 in Leesburg, a few upper teens back into our northern and westernmost areas like Hagerstown, even Cumberland could start off a little bit cooler than 22, but throughout the day we'll have nice sunshine blending with just a few clouds, especially in the morning. I do think the afternoon will be a good bit brighter and temperatures that are back in the mid 40s. That's right where we should be for this time in February, but we haven't seen temperatures like that since early January. And it really depends where you are in terms of what your temperature will be for tomorrow. We will have a northeasterly wind, which will keep areas up the 95 corridor a little bit cooler, but mid to upper 40s for D.C., back into Frederick and Leesburg, 49 in Manassas, even some 50s possible down into Culpeper and Fredericksburg. Front Royal may squeak up to 60, not totally out of the question, but I would plan on mid to upper 50s if you're in our southwestern areas for Tuesday afternoon. But hey, that is still going to be a fantastic day. And as we head through the rest of the week, our temperatures will be kind of right around average for Wednesday, slightly cooler Thursday into Friday, but Valentine's Day on Saturday, 48 degrees, not too shabby. And keep in mind, those are the temperatures that will set the stage for that next weak little storm we're tracking on Sunday. So I just don't know that it's going to be cold enough to support any kind of wintry weather. Yes, it'll dip into the 20s and 30s overnight and into Sunday, but once again throughout Sunday afternoon, we're back in the low 40s. And as we look ahead to next week, yes, some 50s are possible. Those are the types of temperatures we need to really make some headway when it comes to melting all of the snowcrete that we still have around our area. We will see some progress this week, at least softening of the snow and ice, but that also means we're going to see quite a bit of melting and refreezing overnight. So black ice will remain a concern as we head through the next several evenings. Now, looking ahead to the weekend, Saturday, Valentine's Day looks gorgeous. Sunday, though, we will see clouds thicken up pretty early, and then we'll track for that next little storm system to move through by late morning and into the afternoon. You see, this model in particular does start it as a burst of some wet snowflakes. I'm really not totally buying it yet. This is just your heads up that yes, we could see a brief period of snow before flipping to rain as we head throughout Sunday evening. My biggest concern with the prolonged period of some wintry weather, whether it's sleet or snow, would be for areas closer to the I-81 corridor where, yes, of course, it's going to be a little bit colder. So if you live in that area, if you're traveling in that area, certainly keep that in mind. But elsewhere, I think we flip to rain pretty quickly, and we will have some showers to start President's Day on Monday, but then looks like we'll clear things out throughout the second half of the day. So the next several days, beautiful, tons of sunshine, temperatures in the 40s. Again, we will see quite a bit of melting this week. If you've still got big piles of snow around that you're hoping to clear out, maybe throughout the next several afternoons, once it softens, it'll be a little bit more manageable, but just keep in mind the black ice, the refreeze threat overnight. And then as we head into the weekend, we will watch that next storm system. Looks relatively low impact for now. And again, mainly a rain event, but we'll watch the potential to mix in just a little bit more wintry weather as we head into Sunday morning and into the afternoon.
We're back now, giving you a shot of Sky 9 still over the scene of Wootton High School as students are now being let out and on buses or taken to Frost Middle School so that they can be reunited with their parents after a student was shot.
Yeah, what a day for these students. We know that shortly after 2:15 today, a student was shot inside of this building. We do know that that student at this hour is in stable condition and also expected to make a full recovery. That is really good news. Yeah. Now, as for the suspect, we know that one person is in custody, and according to our Matt Gregory a short time ago, he's getting word that they are just checking to make sure no one else was involved. But in terms of how this all happened or why it happened, that is still unclear.
And what's ahead, right? Still so many questions. Stay with us for WSA 9 News at 5. We will have our team coverage continuing and also stream us on WSA 9 Plus. We'll be right back.
Little time.
Be careful with your pedal.
My
that thing,
pedal?
I don't know what's happening with that thing.
Oh,
but
is it acting
reverses,
funky?
and then the prompter goes dark.
Oh, I just won't even touch it then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, why is this thing reversing?
Thank you.
Then it just goes out.
I'll just use the We're staying on top of breaking news on WUSA 9 News at 5. One student is hurt and another student is in custody after a shooting inside Wootton High School in Rockville. We thank you for joining us. It is Monday, not quite the way we thought we'd be kicking things off. I'm Leslie Foster.
And I'm Lorenzo Hall. So we are told that student is stable. Police say they had the weapon, and we know all roads around the school are closed and people are being asked still to stay away.
Now, we've been following this story for you for about a couple hours now. Matt Gregory, John Duran, Randy Hildreth are all out on the scene. But Matt, let's start with you. You were one of the first there talking to some students and some parents who were quite concerned in those very first minutes after this happened.
Yeah, Leslie, in those first minutes, it was confusion, fear, and anxiety. And I do think that now it's just kind of giving way to confusion as parents try to figure out how do they pick up their students. We have actually seen, I'm going to show you now, several buses coming through, and they're all full of students. There's one that's going to take a few minutes to get to. Is off in the distance there in front of Wootton High School. But as you can see, it's turned into less of a police situation of trying to get inside the building and more of directing traffic, getting students out of Wootton High School and on their way to Robert Frost Middle School, because this is what the protocol is. The students will be taken from Wootton High School over to Robert Frost Middle School, and that's where the reunification point will be. Now, while we've been standing here, the parents who've been waiting here as well to hear from their kids have told us they haven't been told by MCPS yet that this is happening, but we're seeing with our own eyes students getting on buses, being taken down, and they're making a right towards Robert Frost Middle School, as well as buses that are going on their natural routes home. So that's the situation right now. I want to run through what happened within the minutes when we got here. 2:15, that's when a shot is fired inside of Wootton High School. We are told by police that they found a student with a gunshot wound inside the hallway. At the same time, the helicopters that we have had above the scene eventually captured one person in handcuffs being taken out to a police car. Not sure if that person's been arrested in terms of in connection to this, or if they're just in custody. We don't know if there are any other suspects, but we do know that one person, like I said, is in custody. And in those early moments, as parents got here, when they heard the call, when they heard what was happening, we talked to a father who was actively text messaging with his son, who was hiding inside of a classroom, inside of a closet, under lockdown, frantically sending messages to his father. This is what the man we spoke to, and hear what he heard from his son's text message perspective.
I was at work. I got a text from my son. We have a family group thing, and it says that here first was shouting and then just banging, and everybody's locked down, all the lights are off. So obviously I came here right away, and I called 911 right away. They already knew about it, and I don't know what's happening.
Well, what's it? I mean, I know it's an obvious question, but as a parent, you heard this and immediately you came here. Tell me what's going through your head.
I just hope that what's happening, the officers just break the door and go inside. I just don't want them to stay outside. Remind me what happened in Texas, and I don't want that happens here. So I just want to make sure whatever is happening, just go inside. That's all.
And as a parent, what is this?
As a parent, I'm not going to send my kids to school. That's the first thing in my mind. I know it's crazy. I was just telling my wife, homeschooling, I guess, is the best thing to do, because this is not. I mean, you see all the parents crying, some are crying, and this is crazy. I'm lucky that I get text from my son here, so I know he's okay. It sounds like I talked to mom. She hasn't heard anything, and this is crazy. It's insane. It's insane. It shouldn't happen there, especially in this country. You shouldn't have this kind of stuff. But
and now we just sit here and wait.
Just sit and wait. I mean, this is crazy. I didn't have metal. I don't know. Actually, crazy thing is that my daughter is also a middle school here, just down here. I actually a few weeks ago went and talked to the principal, and I said we should put metal detector here. And he's like, "Oh no, we cannot do that." I mean, what are we waiting for? We should do that. What are we waiting for? This kind of stuff should not happen. I much prefer that they search every single kid before they go inside.
What are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? And at the same time, he said, I know it sounds crazy, of homeschooling my kids. That was the reaction from a father waiting to find out information about what was going on inside Wootton High School. And you can understand, you can empathize with the emotions, the feelings on a day where you get a message that's a bit unclear that says there's a shooting at your son's school and it's under lockdown. That's what when we spoke to that man, that was the thing that kept coming back. His son hiding in a closet, lights off, told to be quiet, messaging frantically with his father and his mother and his other siblings. Now, as we've been standing here, we're seeing some cars leave. These are obviously the first of what I've seen coming out of the school that are not, as you can see right here, police vehicles. I'm not sure if they're teachers or faculty or staff, but we're seeing folks leaving that for the first time in 3 or 4 hours are not police cruisers coming and going. So the scene is still sort of resolving itself here as we get into the portion of the students being told that they're going to be released right now, or at least that's what we're seeing with our own eyes. Anyway, one of the things that we're still working to learn more information about, let's kind of recircle in it again and get you everything you need to know. We're looking at the police investigation still. That's going to be going on. We actually saw more of the unmarked cruisers, which seem to usually indicate detectives and investigators on their way in. Like you heard Lorenzo and Leslie saying, we know that one student was taken to a nearby hospital. They're in stable condition, but we don't know the extent of those injuries. What does stable mean in terms of where the injuries were and what the recovery time will look like? We know one student is also in custody and a gun has been recovered. We're working to get more information about the particulars of the police investigation, but for right now outside of Wootton High School, it looks like folks are suddenly starting to get a little bit more clarity on when their students will be heading home and what's going on there. But for now, in Rockville, I'm Matt Gregory. Back to you.
Yeah, we know dismissal is currently underway, so those students are heading home at this hour, which is a big change from earlier.
Yeah, big change from earlier. No parent sends their kid to school thinking they're going to end their school day in a hospital bed, for sure. All right, Matt, thank you so much.
Let's check in with our John Duran now. John, what more can you tell us about what happened today?
Lorenzo, we are at Wootton Parkway and Hurley Avenue. This is about as close as you could get to Wootton High School by car right now. You see Montgomery County police officers directing traffic behind me, and there's been a lot of traffic and a lot of people asking questions, confused. Where can, meet my child, pick my kid up, things like that we're hearing behind us. It's also where we met City of Rockville council member Adam Van Grok, who lives in the neighborhood and has a child who's a sophomore at Wootton High School. He says once he heard the news of the shooting, he reached out to his son, called him, and actually informed his son of what was going on. Van Grok, just like any parent with a child inside Wootton High School today, frantic, scared, looking for answers, and hoping their child is okay.
Before I heard about it, having lived right off Wootton Parkway, I heard the police, and they were screaming down the road. I was able to get here because I live right nearby, but the timeline was hearing the police, the timeline was finding out there's an active shooter, the timeline was me coming right here on the outskirts and watching the police come out and SWAT. I can also tell you that the degree to which the Rockville Police Department and the Montgomery County Police Department got here expeditiously was incredible. The very first thing is, are you safe? But after that, when I informed him that it was an active shooter situation, that he did not know, that's when obviously the conversations got emotional. And it's a matter of realizing that could be the last time you're communicating with your child. So there's no question that is emotional. And that's one of the reasons why I say, he's a victim. Everybody in that school is a victim of the tragedy that occurred today. And it's something that we have to realize, that when things like this happen, there are victims that stretch throughout. And there are one could say that every student in Montgomery County, because we've now had an incident in Montgomery County where there was an active student situation.
And in about an hour from now, right here, we're expected to get an update from police and officials on exactly what happened this afternoon. And of course, Leslie Lorenzo, we will bring that to you when that happens.
Yeah, that council member said it pretty succinctly and emotionally. There was one student who was shot, but an entire population of students and staff and community members who were all victims because of what happened there today.
Yeah, more than 2,000 students processing what happened at school, and also what's to come, what happens tomorrow. All right, John, thank you.
All right, we're going to check in now with Randy Hildreth. She is at Frost Middle School, where families are meeting back up with their students. It's about a 5 to 8 minute walk on a good day from Wootton over to Frost Middle School. Probably a little longer today with all of the road closures and things, but certainly a lot of, hopefully, a warm embraces when those families are able to connect at Frost Middle.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to give you context to exactly where I am. I'm at the intersection of Overly Drive and Foxton. Right behind me, you can see Glen Echo Fire Department blocking off the street. This is as far as parents can get to park their vehicles. And if we take a look down Foxton Drive, you can see parents lining the streets, waiting to be reunited, to give that warm embrace to their child, considering everything that they have experienced today. I've had a moment to walk up and down the street and talk with parents about what they are processing and what their students are processing or what their children are processing. I spoke with one woman who has a child who attends Frost Middle School and another child who attends Wootton High School, and I could see on her face the the emotions of the day, getting the panicked alert from her son of what was going on, and then waiting at this moment to see him in person after he has experienced this lockdown at the school and as we have reported, a shooting on campus. I just spoke with a Glen Echo Fire Department official who is blocking the intersection and alerting parents of how to navigate this area, that we know that middle school students here have been released and that students from the high school should begin showing up shortly. That is word from officials here on the scene. And you can start to see some of the parents, and if we whip the camera around, you can see many come and speak with law enforcement officials here before they walk up closer to the school. We are about one intersection down from Frost Middle School. I did have a chance to speak with another parent off camera, because a lot of the parents here did not want to speak on camera yet. Again, they are processing what they are dealing with. And I talked with him about the conversations that he plans to have with his child. And he says that, one, he was so relieved to know that his child was okay, thinking obviously about the student who is recovering at this hour. And I talked with him about the conversations that he'll have with his child once he sees him in person. And he says, I plan to talk with him about what happened and hold space for him to be able to process his feelings. And I asked him, is this a tough day for you as a parent? And he quietly said yes. And so, Lorenzo, I think you mentioned just the processing that students are going through right now, being in that building at the time, but there's also a level of processing that many parents, many guardians are going through right now. Relief, concern, heartbreak, and then having that conversation with their child about what happened here. I would estimate, if I just do a quick scan, I would say at least 50 cars are parked at this intersection and counting. We know a lot of the roads in this area leading to Frost Middle School are blocked off because they had to work through getting students from Frost Middle School out as they work to bring students from Wootton High School in. I'm going to continue to talk with parents. We haven't seen students reunite with parents to begin walking to the car. Again, most of the parents I have seen have checked in and are going to be right at the middle school so that as soon as they see their child, I'm sure that warm embrace and then to bring them and to get them safely home. But I'll go ahead and send it back to you live this evening. Randy Hildreth, WUSA 9.
You know, Randy, you have been a teacher yourself. And I don't know if you've ever been in a situation like this, but you talk about the kinds of conversations that parents are having with their kids. There are some really tough conversations when those kids come back to class that their teachers will be having with them as well.
Absolutely. I didn't experience an incident like this. When I was teaching high school in Florence, South Carolina, we did have a bomb threat. And I remember us gathering with the students and not having a lot of information at the time. In situations like this, there is a lot going on. They're trying to understand what is going on to keep students as safe as they can in school, to figure out where is the threat, what is the threat, the scope of the threat. When I was talking to one of the parents, she was saying it takes a minute because in a situation like this, they have to go room by room to assess the threat. And so it takes a while, and the information, it takes time to pass that along. And as a parent, if you hear of anything that is going on, your immediate reaction is to go to that school. And I remember in that moment as a teacher, because when a parent's child is in your care, you have the responsibility of them at that moment, making sure that they are physically okay, but then also making sure that they are mentally okay, walking them through the unknowns and trying to keep them calm in that moment. And so as a former teacher, being in that moment during that bomb threat at my school, I can imagine what these teachers are going through, the weight of that responsibility, being nervous yourself in that moment, and trying to provide some sense of security for those students before you hand them off lovingly back to their parents. So just the scope and the layers of this, exactly as you mentioned, not just the students, not just the parents, but the teachers who love on these students, I'm sure, when they are in their classrooms every single day. So a lot of layers to this. And one more thing, I remember when that incident happened at the school, when we were beginning to release, of course, you saw those parents lined out in front of the school because, you know, as a parent, and I know you're a parent, as soon as you hear of something going on with your child, you want to be in place to make sure that you can get eyes on them, to make sure that they are okay. And just the emotions out here, as we continue to learn more about what's going on, of course, thoughts with the student who is recovering, but I know that these parents are thinking about their babies. But I'll send it back to you.
Because it doesn't end here. They know this continues. And you know, Randy, you mentioned it as well. Being in the classroom, you prepare for these drills a lot. You prepare for these moments, I should say. We heard from a student earlier saying, you know we practice for this several times a year. Close the blinds, turn off the lights, go and hide. But it's a different thing when you actually go through something like this, when it actually happens. And that's what these students are experiencing today, how to move forward, how to process all of this.
It will take a whole community approach to help them get through it as well.
And let us point out, we had Sky 9 up there. We know that the line, we can see them behind you, Randy. You showed us that image from your camera, but we have that aerial view of a lot of the parents who are lining up to pick up their children or their child there at Frost Middle School. So we know they are anxiously awaiting to give them that warm embrace, as we mentioned before, and also those students who are lining up to take their normal bus route home.
Boy, a very, very long day here for the students, the staff, the parents, the community here. So many emotions swirling on this day. Randy, we thank you for your reporting and for your context about your own experience there. I guess we should recap for people who might just be joining us today. There was a student shot inside Wootton High School in Rockville. Police say another student was responsible for that. At least that's what we're reporting at this point. It happened not long before these students were expected to be released. 2:30 was dismissal time, and those gunshots were fired at 2:15.
Yeah, the buses were outside, engines running, waiting to take those students home. We can tell you that the student who was shot is in stable condition, that at least physically they're expected to make a full recovery. Police have also found the weapon that was allegedly used in this situation, and you saw there with our Randy Hildreth a moment ago. Families are being reunited with their child or their children at Frost Middle School.
We're hoping to perhaps be able to connect a few more dots around 6 o'clock when we hear from officials and we get the official update at 6 p.m. And of course, as soon as that happens, we'll make sure we bring it to you. And as soon as we learned of what happened there, we joined you live on the air.
Yeah, for updates anytime, just download the WUSA 9 app on your phone. And you can watch us anytime on the free WUSA 9 Plus streaming app. We'll be right back with more of the news at 5.
WUSA 9 Weather Impact is sponsored by Morgan & Morgan.
Nice little warm up.
I was going to say, you know what? 30 felt like 50.
Yeah, and just wait until we get 45
I
tomorrow.
know.
Yeah.
Now,
bring it.
I know.
we might not even have coats on.
We haven't
might
seen
just
temperatures
completely
like that
show off.
Not
since
kidding.
like early January.
Yeah. It's been so cold for so long, but it's coming.
And the snow is still everywhere, those mounds.
Yeah, and
They need
unfortunately,
to
I don't
melt.
think 45 is going to do that much good in terms of melting. It will
March.
soften it, so you can help to clear it if you need to, but
Maybe March.
I think March is our time to
Yeah.
see the grass again.
Could be a minute.
Yeah, we will see a little bit of
Patience.
slow improvement, but those piles are so big. It's going to take a long time. So let's give you a live look outside, though, where there is still no shortage of snow as you look live from Earth Cam on top of the Washington Monument. Beautiful shot there, though. We've got the sun falling on the horizon, just a few clouds. Clouds will thicken up here over the next several hours and stick with us overnight, but that will actually help keep our temperatures not as cold as we head through the overnight hours. And you know what? 33 right now. Feeling pretty good, especially without any wind. It doesn't feel any colder than it actually is. Now, once that sun goes down, we'll fall into the mid-20s, but that's generally where we stay. Around the metro areas, we head through the overnight and early morning hours of Tuesday. It is going to feel so much better tomorrow morning than it did this morning. We started today off in the single digits and teens. Tomorrow we'll be in the low 20s just about everywhere. A few upper teens back into Hagerstown and areas farther off to the north and west, but 23 in Leesburg, not too shabby. 21 in Manassas, 24 in Andrews, down through parts of southern Maryland. And that will just set the stage for what is going to be a really nice Tuesday forecast. We will have partly cloudy skies in the morning, nice sunshine in the afternoon, and then we are back in the mid-40s throughout the afternoon. And there will be a pretty big spread in temperatures. Tomorrow, the farther south and west you are, the milder it will be. We're talking low 50s in spots like Fredericksburg and Culpeper. I think 60 seems a little high in Front Royal, but 50s certainly possible. Looking at around 49 in Manassas, 46 in Frederick, with mid-40s around the Beltway as well. Now, as we head through the rest of the week, our temperatures stay fairly mild, especially Wednesday. We'll get a degree or two warmer than tomorrow. And then it does get a little bit cooler thanks to a quick moving cold front Thursday into Friday, but still upper 30s and low 40s, not too shabby. And then we're back in the upper 40s for Saturday. So that's really what's going to set the stage for our next storm system we're tracking on Sunday. And you can see this model in particular does start us off with some wet snow Sunday afternoon, but I'm not buying it right now. I think it's just going to be too warm to see any kind of wintry weather. If we were to see any kind of mix at the start, it would be either wet snow or maybe a little bit of sleet before switching to rain Sunday afternoon and evening. We might see a bit of a winter threat for areas farther off to the west, closer to the I-81 corridor, where it may stay a little bit cooler. But even then, I think we're above freezing. I think this is just going to be rain as we head through most of your Sunday into Monday morning. But President's Day is not a washout. Looks to clear out shortly after lunchtime on Monday. But that will be our next storm system that we're watching. And hey, still about a week away. Plenty of time for that to change. But just know that that's our next chance to see any kind of precipitation that right now is trending more in the form of rain, and it's easy to see why. We don't have any Arctic air in place for the first time in a long time. The coldest we get this week are the low 40s Thursday into Friday. So with all of that sunshine and temperatures well above freezing, we will see some melting and certainly some softening, but that also means refreezing. Every night we fall right around, if not just below freezing, so be on the lookout for black ice as you get going in the morning.
Okay, thank you, Caitlin.
After more than 100 days and 2,300 miles, a group of Buddhist monks are set to arrive in D.C. tomorrow, and the entire nation has been watching this journey so closely.
Yeah, and today they've reached Alexandria and Arlington. Our Matthew Torres is joining us live tonight. And Matthew, I know you talk with people who braved the cold today to welcome these monks to our area.
Yeah, and so we're here at Marymount University right now, where this is their final stop for the day. We have so many people gathering here, especially along Glebe Road, because any moment now we're expecting those monks to be walking down this road, eventually making their way up this hill, and they are going to be meeting with the president all the way up there to the administration building. But you can see just how many people have already gathered here. Plenty of excitement happening right now all day. These monks have really been greeted by people with open arms. Either they're eager or curious to know what's going on, or they really just want to have the opportunity to say thank you to them.
In this sea of strangers filling the streets of Alexandria is Leslie O'Donnell.
They're just amazing.
Who just wants to see.
Yeah, it's just I can't wait to see them and to stand out here and wait for them.
A group of strangers that's been filling her mind and soul with hope.
They're just beautiful. They just bring peace, and they walk so far. I'm sorry. And it's just been, every morning I cry because I see all the people, and they're just so beautiful.
We hold that and then we suffer.
She and many here have been waiting for this moment, some for months.
And the more we chase, the more we run.
To catch a glimpse of the monks who have been walking for peace across the country.
Thank you. Thank you.
Their journey started in October in Texas and will end in D.C. this week, spreading a message of peace and mindfulness at every stop to those willing to listen in a time of so much divisiveness.
It's like love is so much greater, and why can't we all love each other?
I'm just here to be inspired by a message of peace in these darker times. And
every day that I've been home, I've prayed for them at dinner to keep them safe and to keep them warm.
I just got some roses, some tissues, some chopsticks, to hand out just in case I see them along their path.
Take a step to your right, please. Don't cross the white line as they're coming through.
The 24 monks have walked through brutally freezing conditions in Virginia. That's why Donald
Thank you.
says it's no big deal waiting for a long time, even if her chance to see them is for only a few seconds.
It was quick, but it was such a moment in time that just felt so long. It was beautiful.
So I spoke to one lady who says that she has been walking up to 4 miles a day ever since she learned about these monks last month, just a way to show honor and to celebrate with them. I also spoke to a lady who came all the way down here from Philadelphia. So again, this is their final stop here at Marymount University. They'll be making a few stops in DC tomorrow. The monk who's been leading this charge says the plan is also to go to make a stop at the White House. But we're seeing a lot of activity behind us right now based on what we've seen before. You see all those lights from the officers down there. It could be a good sign that just behind them are the monks now making their way here. It is taking a bit of time since they've been handing out those peace bracelets to people who've been waiting alongside this road. So it'll likely be several more minutes before we get to see them, at least at the location where I'm standing right now. Guys.
Yeah, we know they're changing so many lives on this journey. So many folks who are just looking for that hope.
They're walking in the cold, but their presence brings a certain warmth.
Yeah.
That's hard to really put into words, but clearly so many people have come out to see them move with their message, and we can all feel it.
More and more people on this journey too, right? Just wait till they get to DC. All right, Matthew, thank you. And get this, we know the monks have also extended their journey.
Yeah, can you imagine? You think your finish line's in DC, but wait, there's more. They plan to visit Annapolis this week too.
They realized there was a need.
There was a need, and certainly people will be lined up there. We'll be right back.
We are staying on top of some breaking news right now on WUSA 9 News at 5:30. As you know, a student has been shot inside of Wootton High School in Rockville today, and we are told that student is in stable condition.
Police say they have another student in custody, and officers do have that weapon involved. We're expecting an update in about a half an hour, but for now, let's go back out to Matt Gregory. He arrived at Wootton not long after went into lockdown. Matt, things have changed quite a bit there now. What are you seeing?
You know, within the last, I would say 2 minutes or so, we saw a whole fleet of the ride-on Montgomery County buses coming, which, you know, earlier we saw the yellow buses leaving with students on there. I'm only left to kind of, this hasn't been confirmed, but just kind of deductive reasoning with your own eyes that those particular yellow buses were headed on their normal bus routes home, and these ride-on buses, it was about 10 of them or so. So a pretty large fleet will be taking students from Wootton High School over to Frauds. This is kind of my own assumption looking at it, but that seems to be, they all said not in service. They were given a police escort on their way in. And Ruth, my photographer, is going to get you closer. You can see further down there, the activity seems to be, this is all a logistics operation at this point. While you take a look at what you're seeing there, let me fill you in on the details, kind of give you some more color and analysis to what we're talking about. The overview is that at 2:15, shots were fired inside Wootton High School. This is all according to Montgomery County Police. At that point, the school went into lockdown. A student, we are told by police, was found with a gunshot wound inside the school. And not long after that, the weapon in the shooting was recovered, as well as one other student in custody as a result. We're told that that student was taken to a nearby hospital, the one with the injury from the gunshot wound, in stable condition. This was, of course, according to the Montgomery County Council, but we do not know kind of the extent of those injuries. If that, it's not certain exactly where they were shot, what happened, what their recovery will look like, but we know that so far. In the meantime, student in custody, and throughout the entire afternoon from about 2:15 on, the whole school went into lockdown, and during the course of the lockdown, parents flooded to Wootton High School trying to see if they could get information from their students, trying to see when they'd be able to be reunited with their students. Many of them confused, anxiety-filled, and obviously fear-filled. And one of the students, you know, we were reading from their text messages, these parents were reading the messages from their students about what was happening inside, you know, the shades drawn in every classroom, hiding in closets, following the protocol of the school, things they trained for apparently, or drill for once or twice a year. But then while we were outside waiting, a student who had actually gone to Wootton High School today but then called out sick came by, and I asked him, I wanted to get a tenor for how he felt and also what he was hearing from his friends inside the classroom. Take a listen right here.
I mean, I'm okay. Honestly, I'm kind of shocked by this. It was very, you know, unexpected.
Yeah.
Right. I've been going here for quite some time, and like I just haven't seen anything like this at school before. I've heard about it at other schools, but you know, never at Wootton.
You've been texting with your friends. What are they saying? Are they hearing anything inside the building? Is anything being shared with them information-wise?
I mean, they haven't really said, but like I've been asked, like, are you guys okay? Like, how are you guys feeling? And it seems like, you know, everyone inside is extremely scared, right? You know, and shocked.
Do they have metal detectors inside Wootton or any sort of weapons detector? That's one question one of our anchors was asking.
No, I don't believe they do. I wish they did, but they don't have metal detectors because, you know, zippers, binders, so, yeah.
Oh, so when you walk in, you just walk right in the door?
You walk in, they check your student ID, and then you just walk right in.
Now, as you can see here, the buses, this is a small little procession coming out. These were police escorted. These buses are, from what my own eyes I can see, yes, there's full of students inside them. And you can see further up the hill in front of, as going through this right here, you can see those buses are heading down towards Scott Drive on their way out. Again, we're not sure at least whether or not these are the ones going to Robert Frost Middle School, where the reunification point will be, or if these are buses on their normal routes home. As we spin the camera back around here to get a look at the actual top of the hill, you can see all the lights on the top of the buses, the flashers up there. This is where they're starting to load the buses up now with the students from Wootton High School. Again, we've been told the reunification point for these students will be Robert Frost Middle School, those who would usually walk to school. Other than the students who ride the bus, they're taking their buses home. In the meantime, wanted to just kind of give you a quick fill-in on everything that we know that is, as far as the investigation goes. The SRT units, special response teams, were going door to door, or classroom to classroom, clearing the classrooms. It wasn't until about, I would say 4:30 or so, we got the call that they would be releasing the students. So now we're seeing sort of the end result, right? We're seeing the logistics as everyone's being put into the buses and brought out. In the meantime, as we continue to follow up on the investigation, we have questions from Montgomery County Police that we're expecting to hear around 6 o'clock and answer. The number one question being, more than anything else, what is the condition of the student? They're stable, but what are their injuries like? How many students are suspects? Is it just one that's in custody? Is that student in custody a suspect? And as we get these questions answered, we hope to have more information about, we'll bring it to you. But for now, in Rockville, I'm Matt Gregory, WUSA 9. Back to you.
Matt, we were just looking over your shoulder, and obviously you wouldn't be able to see this, but your photographer probably could. A lot of those students getting on the bus don't appear to have coats on.
Yeah.
And so it makes you wonder if they just, wherever they were in their school day, if they just had to kind of mobilize.
Yeah.
I didn't see anybody with a coat on.
Just
Did
capping
you?
what has been a jarring day as we try to zoom in a little closer. You're ending the school day, an extended school day because of a shooting. And then you have such a frenzy outside, right, of helicopters, and you're being directed by police officers and those flashing lights.
Yeah, it looks like some of these kids that got on the bus that we're looking at right now are now getting off. Perhaps they're putting them on another bus and just trying to manage logistics after, as you say, a very long and traumatic day for this whole community.
Now, is this still the line? I don't know if we can confirm this with our producers, of some of those parents waiting to get to Frost Middle School. Yes.
It
you
is.
can see all of these parents waiting to pick up their children from Frost Middle School.
Look at that line of traffic. I'm sure they would wait as long as they had to.
Yeah, we know that it was
for those reunions.
Some of those students getting on the bus to head home, but as a parent, I'm sure that just seeing their child, it was just paramount. They couldn't wait for that bus ride home.
When you think of all the logistics here, you have to manage the inside, manage the outside, managing these kids who've been through something unthinkable, making sure they get onto these buses, and of course getting to their parents, the most important thing that we can do this evening for sure. So much still happening even as this day is winding down to a close in some ways. In some ways it's also just beginning too.
Yeah, those conversations at home. All right, Matt, thank you for being part of this conversation and for that update. And as soon as we got word of this shooting, we joined you live right here on air. For updates anytime, just download the WUSA 9 app on your phone, and you can watch us anytime on the free WUSA 9 Plus streaming app.
A road closure in downtown D.C. is expected to disrupt traffic through the rest of the week. So we're talking about the northbound lanes of 14th Street Northwest between L and Thomas Circle. Experts say this stretch of roadway is at risk of imminent collapse. An abandoned sewer tunnel is to blame. It's been out of service for nearly 50 years, and it was supposed to be filled in. And D.C. Water discovered the problem because of a nearby water main break.
This is an emergency situation. If we have heavy vehicles going over the road here where this sewer line is in danger of collapsing, that's exactly what could happen. You don't want heavy vehicles going across here.
Well, you don't want a water main break, but perhaps it was a good thing that happened because they wouldn't have known about this issue. DC Water says they'll work to fill in the tunnel as soon as it's warm enough. So expect this stretch of the road to remain closed through the end of the week. But DC Water says your drinking water and the other utilities are not impacted. The search for Nancy Guthrie is in its second week, with authorities seemingly no closer to identifying suspects or persons of interest. A ransom note also indicates a second deadline today. CBS reporter Andres Gutierrez is in Tucson with the latest.
CBS News drone video over Nancy Guthrie's house shows a quiet scene. That's in spite of a looming deadline Monday, according to an apparent ransom note the FBI is still working to authenticate. Savannah Guthrie posted this plea over the weekend.
We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
Despite the Today Show co-host's offer to pay, it's not confirmed what the demand is. One former FBI negotiator is questioning the would-be kidnapper's potential motives.
It also could be more of a emotional or expressive type, grievance. Maybe someone that she knows, and it's really not financial. Or maybe it just went really bad, and they're improvising.
Law enforcement have not held a news conference since last Thursday, and they haven't talked about receiving any proof of life of Nancy Guthrie.
I take them at face value that they have nothing right now. That being said, if they do have a credible lead, they're very smart to hold it close to the vest and to play that tactfully for an operation that might result in the victim being returned alive.
The safe return of Nancy Guthrie is also top of mind for local residents, praying for her and the family.
My prayers and the flowers, and I hope it makes them feel a little bit better. We will get her back. We will get her back good and healthy and fine.
That's the earnest wish for all involved here as investigators run down every lead. Andres Gutierrez, CBS News, Tucson.
Well, after such a frigid stretch of weather, temperatures are heading back in the 40s and eventually, potentially as early as next week, the 50s. We'll talk about what this means for the melting of our snowcrete and look ahead to when we could see a few more flakes fly.
A little after noon today, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser celebrated more than 10 years of a project called the Green Book, an annual guide that helps small businesses apply for contracts in the district. The mayor held that celebration at Capital One Arena, where small businesses are working on renovations. Now, the Green Book offers small business owners a step-by-step guide that helps them connect with a wide range of D.C. agencies. And Mayor Bowser said this year's guide offers something special.
This year, we're excited to introduce a new section in the Green Book focused on RFK.
Now, Mayor Bowser said the stadium project represents a once-in-a-generation opportunity for small businesses in D.C.
Tomorrow is a special election day in 2 Northern Virginia districts. Voters in District 39 will fill Adam Eben's Senate seat. That represents Alexandria City, Arlington, and parts of Fairfax counties. Eben left the position to become senior advisor at Virginia's Cannabis Control Authority. District 5 delegate Elizabeth Bennett Parker is leaving her position to try and fill that open Senate seat, which leaves her chair up for grabs, too.
WUSA 9 Weather Impact is sponsored by Morgan & Morgan.
We survived that freezing weekend, huh?
We did.
Wow.
Now the big thaw. Is this the big thaw?
This is, we would call it a thaw. That's typically what we call the first warm up, right, in winter. But this isn't even really a warm up. It's just like where winter should be.
Okay.
Well, we're going to rebrand it for us this week.
It's a relative thaw. How about that? And hey, we could see some upper 50s by next week, and that I would very much consider a February thaw. But let's start with what we've got going on over the next several days, and that is first increasing clouds tonight. We'll start off with a little bit of an overcast sky to your Tuesday, but clouds are short-lived. We'll see some nice sunshine throughout the afternoon. Really a very nice week ahead before we look ahead to the weekend, and our next storm system looks like a weak little storm, but could start as some wet snow before flipping to a primarily rain event. And there's still a lot to unpack in terms of the setup and the timing of this next round of what we'll just call precipitation for now. And before we even get to that, we do have a beautiful week to enjoy. So starting with tonight, it's not that bad if you're still looking to maybe get outside after work, stretch your legs. Temperatures will stay in the 30s here for another hour or so before dipping into the mid to upper 20s, but that's generally where we stay for the overnight hours. Even as you kick off the day on Tuesday, it won't be nearly as cold as it was this morning. We started your Monday forecast in the single digits and teens. So tomorrow, relative is not going to feel too shabby. Many areas in the low 20s as you're getting out the door early on Tuesday, right around 22 in D.C., closer to the mid 20s in southern Maryland, 21 in Manassas, 23 back into Leesburg. A few upper teens for areas farther off to the north and west, but those temperatures are going to set the stage for what will be our mildest day in a long time. We're talking mid 40s by Tuesday afternoon. You pair that with sunshine, it's going to feel fantastic. We will start to see a little bit of snowcrete melt, or at least softening. So if you do have any piles near your driveway, your sidewalk, and intersection that you've been trying to clean up, it is going to be easier throughout the afternoon tomorrow. Just keep in mind that the snow melt that we do see is going to refreeze overnight. So we will have to watch out for patches of black ice here over the next several mornings and late at night once we do see those temperatures start to fall. But tomorrow will be a pretty wild split in temperatures depending on where you are. Thanks to a northeasterly wind that will keep areas off to the northeast a little bit cooler, so only 37 in Hagerstown, 44 in Westminster, but farther off to the south and west, low 50s possible in spots like Culpeper and Fredericksburg. I think 60 in Front Royal looks a little aggressive. I don't know that we get 60, but should at least make it into the 50s. So really a nice Tuesday forecast to look forward to. And we've got lots more 40s on the way for the rest of the week. Wednesday, a degree or two warmer than what we're talking about for tomorrow. And then Thursday and Friday, we do get slightly cooler temperatures briefly. But then as we head into the weekend, temperatures in the mid to upper 40s. So looking like a nice Valentine's Day forecast if you're looking ahead to make some plans. It will be a little cold to start, temperatures in the 30s Saturday morning, but mid to upper 40s by Saturday afternoon. You pair that with sunshine. Great day to get outside and spend some time outdoors with loved ones. Now, as we look ahead to Sunday, we do have this next storm system moving in by late afternoon. And again, we could see a little bit of a brief mix with some wet snow, possibly some sleet, especially for areas north and west where you see that pink, but I just don't think the cold air is there. I do think this is going to be a mainly rain event as we head through the second half of Sunday and even into the start of President's Day. This is 11 o'clock Sunday night. That rain's going to be moderate to heavy at times, and then early Monday morning, the last of the showers clearing east of 95, and we will spend most of the day on Monday dry once we get past those few showers. So overall, not a big storm system, and again, looking like primarily rain, a low chance that we start off as a little bit of snow, so all the more reason to enjoy all of the sunshine we have over the next several days in the meantime. We'll be right back after this short break.
So the House Oversight Committee scheduled a virtual deposition with Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell today as part of their investigation into a sex trafficking ring targeting underage girls. Erica Brown is talking with our local leaders on Capitol Hill.
Convicted sex trafficker and longtime Jeffrey Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell appeared before House lawmakers for a virtual deposition Monday, but she refused to answer questions invoking her Fifth Amendment right.
She had an opportunity today to answer questions that every American has, questions that would be very important in this investigation, and she chose to invoke her Fifth Amendment right.
The House Oversight Committee subpoenaed Maxwell for testimony last July. Today, they say they tried to get her to respond to a variety of questions relevant to their Epstein investigation.
Who were the other co-conspirators? Who were the other men who raped these underage girls? Did she have any conversations about a deal with Donald Trump?
Maxwell is serving a 20-year prison sentence for sex trafficking, and in a statement, her attorney said she is prepared to speak freely if she gets clemency from President Trump.
She is campaigning over and over again to get that pardon from President Trump, and this president has not ruled it out. And so that is why she's continuing to not cooperate with our investigation.
Maxwell's virtual appearance came on the same day members of Congress were granted access to the Justice Department's unredacted Epstein files.
I was interested in certain redactions that seemed puzzling to me, and I wanted to go and see were there actually names of victims in there that caused the redactions, and in the overwhelming number of cases, there were not names of victims there.
Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer says 5 more depositions related to the Epstein probe are scheduled, including with former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Erica Brown, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Maryland Governor Wes Moore is calling out the Trump administration after being uninvited to this year's National Governors Association dinner. Moore said that he's ready to work with the Trump administration, but said the optics of the situation can't be ignored.
It's not lost to me that I'm the only black governor in this country. And I find that to be, particularly painful, considering the fact that the president is trying to exclude me from an organization that not only are my peers have asked me to help to lead, but then also a place where I know I belong in.
Colorado Governor Jared Polis was also not invited.
All right, still ahead here tonight, we are still following that breaking news out of Rockville as we look live at Wootton High School, where a student was shot earlier today inside of that building. Another student is in custody. Our live team coverage continues ahead on the News at 6.
WUSA 9 News at 6 starts with the breaking news we've been following all afternoon in Montgomery County. Police now say a student is in custody after shooting another student inside Wootton High School. Thank you for being here. I'm Leslie Foster.
And I'm Lorenzo Hall. Unfortunately, we are once again talking about gun violence and children. The shooting happened about 4 hours ago, just as students were about to leave for the day. You can see right here, Sky 9 capturing one person being put into handcuffs as officers swarmed the area. Police tell us they also found a weapon at the scene.
We're expecting more of an update from police any minute now. They have scheduled a press conference for 6 p.m. There'll probably be some city leaders there as well. We'll bring that to you live as soon as it happens.
Yeah, so many questions. But right now, let's get to our Matt Gregory. He has been at Wootton High School since this news broke today. Matt, what are you seeing right now? What do you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of logistics going on. You and I just talked about it over the last half hour. So to bring you all up to speed, within the last hour and a half or so, the students here at Wootton High School were released. Of course, we first saw sort of the fleet of buses that were going out on their routes. We were told the students who ride buses on the normal routes home. And now comes the portion of those students who are usually pickups or those who walk home. They are being taken over to Robert Frost Middle School. And I'm going to step over in this direction to point out, you can still see the cacophony of lights happening off in the distance here. You know, the police emergency lights mixed with the bus lights as students are being taken out of Wootton High School and brought onto buses to be taken to Robert Frost Middle School. That is the reunification point for parents and for students. Now, at the same time, all along Thomas Wootton Parkway, you can see, it's hard to see from here, but like off in the distance, both directions and behind us as well, you've got long backups of cars making their way to Robert Frost or making their way around the area. Here comes some more buses on their way out. Here you can see now every now and then with the police escort, and I'm going to just kind of pay attention here for a hot second. You have a police escort of about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buses on their way out. So this may be those that are headed on their way to Robert Frost Middle School. This is kind of how everything has to be dealt with today. You know, all these students are being put on buses. They'll be taken just not far away. You can see these buses are packed with students inside, all looking out. You can only wonder what their day has been like. I mean, in terms of dealing with the frightening, the fear, not knowing what's going on, and then knowing when you'll be released from school to be reunited with your families. You can only just imagine kind of how their day has been and what that means for the rest of the week. You can see that was about 5, 6, 7 buses or so on their way through. Now, the investigation portion of this, what happened, right? That's the big question of what's going on. What we do know at this point, according to Montgomery County Police, is around 2:15 in the afternoon, shots rang out inside Wootton High School. One student was found in the hallway suffering from a gunshot wound. At the same time, police say when they got to the scene, they took that student to a nearby hospital in stable condition, still working to learn more about the injuries. We do know that police say that they have, we do know talking to police that they do have one person in custody, another student who shot that student allegedly. This is according to police, so we're working to learn more information about that, and a gun was recovered at the scene. Now, this evening, the biggest part of the sort of logistical issues that we've been dealing with for the last, I would say, hour or so is been trying to figure out when, since the release was about an hour and a half ago for students, how they would be reunited with their parents and when they would be sort of able to be released from the school. We're now starting to see that, but it is a heavy lift in terms of what this the reunification looks like. You just saw those 7 buses that came by. That's the second number of those we've seen come through this area. So it's a large, heavy lift to get all those students out of the classrooms here after the SWAT teams had gone through and checked every classroom, and then over to Robert Frost High School. Now, earlier when we got here, immediately within a couple minutes, there were many parents over here. We talked to one father who was dealing with what he said was just a very difficult situation. We wanted to give you an idea of just what it was like for those parents in those first moments as they learned about what was happening in their school. Take a listen. You said he's just there in the dark in the classroom right now?
All the hallway light. He said that he actually keeps texting it. I shouldn't say that, but he's scared. Yeah. And he said that all the lights are off, the classroom off, the teacher, and he's in the closet with some of the friends inside the classroom, and everybody's locked down. And this is crazy. I'm lucky that I get text from my son here, so I know he's okay. It sounds like I talked to mom. She hasn't heard anything, and this is crazy. It's insane. It's insane. It shouldn't happen there, especially in this country. It shouldn't have this kind of stuff.
lucky that I can text my son. That was really what we heard from that father that just kind of stuck right inside of me today, was that, you know, that was how they were getting their information. Now, all those buses you just saw coming through my shot, they're now headed over to Robert Frost Middle School. That's what we're being told, and I'm going to send it back to you in the studio. But for now, out in the scene, I'm Matt Gregory, WUSA 9 in Rockville. Back to you guys.
Yeah, this could take a while. You think they've got almost 2,000 students. They may not have all shown up today, but that's a lot of students that you have to put on buses and move. And then the teachers and staff, they don't go anywhere.
Yeah, and
until
also
all these young people are safely out of there, extracted.
And probably trying to answer questions too.
Absolutely.
Because you know those students have questions about what happened at school today. We know, again, right now parents are reuniting with their students. Those students have all been brought or taken to Robert Frost Middle School. That's about a mile away from Wootton High.
Yeah, not too far. Our Randy Hildreth is at the middle school tonight. Randy, obviously it's been an emotional day and a long line of parents who would wait until time runs out for the opportunity to reunite with their young people tonight.
Yeah. Absolutely. This is as close as we've been able to get now, right in front of Robert Frost Middle School. I'm going to step out of the way so that you can see the process that is going on right now. I want to break this down into what we see, what we've confirmed, and what we're still working to find out. This is a look, just a portion of the line of cars of parents waiting to be reunited with their children. As Matt mentioned when we were with him, the buses were leaving Wootton High School. We just saw the police escort of another round of students being dropped off here at Robert Frost Middle School. I would say this is the third or fourth group of students that we've seen be dropped off here. Now, as we were walking up closer to the middle school, I was passing parents who were in their cars watching the news to get the very latest as they waited to get an update on when they could come and get with their student. If you're watching in the line waiting on next steps, I'm told that parents, and you can see some of them starting to gather in front of the school, they're letting students off of the buses that arrive. They go inside Frost Middle School, and then parents are let in 10 parents at a time or 10 guardians at a time. You have to show your ID before your child is released to you. So I was talking to some of the parents who were parked waiting to even get closer to the school. One dad said he'd been parked for about 2 hours. His child told them, texted him and told him that they had officially arrived. And so he actually left his car on the street. When you talk about the love of a parent, left the car on the street so he could walk up and try to be reunited with his child as quickly as possible. But again, if you are watching, you're in your car in this line waiting to understand what the process is when you get closer to the school building. One, if you are in a position to park your vehicle and walk, they are allowing parents to walk up closer to the school. If you are in the traffic jam of parents trying to get closer to the vehicle, when you get closer, you are supposed to have your ID. They are letting parents 10 in at a time to be reunited with your child. Now, I did ask law enforcement out here, how many more rounds of buses can we expect? Still working to get some more information. Now, we've been out here monitoring. I've had a chance to talk with parents, some who didn't want to go on camera just because of the weight of the emotions. Certainly when we're talking to parents who are leaving and they have finally had their eyes on their child a lot, many too emotional to talk and just want to get their child home. One of the dads that I spoke with as he was waiting for children to be dropped off here talked with me about getting the alert from his child that this was going on and how he is processing. We have a soundbite from him. Take a listen.
I was anxious when I first heard that there was a shootout, and so I immediately texted my son and he said he's fine.
And you can see, if we pan Jade, my photographer, to our left, you can see some of the buses leaving because they have to go back and pick up more students before they bring them here. And a lot of the conversations that I was having with parents about the process to get the students to this point, one of the parents who didn't want to go on camera says her child was hunkered down in a classroom and it took time to evacuate the students, to get them on the buses, to get them here because her child said a SWAT team was going room to room to assess the situation, to make sure that the school was clear. before they could safely get students out of the building onto the buses in here. I watched that mom walk briskly up this hill to, try to be first in the line to see her child. We will obviously be at this spot continuing to monitor the reunification process for families. As soon as I'm getting more information about what you need to know if you're headed to the pickup location, I'll be sure to bring that to you, but I'll send it back to you for now.
They are being really intentional and deliberate about how they reconnect these children with their families, making sure, one, that these rooms are safe before the kids are extracted and allowed to go out, and then this whole process to reunite them. They really want to make sure that they handle this with care.
Yeah, and great information there from Randy, because we were wondering that when we saw the long line of so many parents waiting to be reunited with their students.
And now we know why it's going to take such a long time.
Yeah. All right, so we know among the parents we are hearing from is Rockville City Council member Adam Van Grack. He has a son who goes to Wootton.
He rushed to the scene and he was pretty emotional when he spoke with us earlier. Take a listen.
Before I heard about it, having lived right off Wootton Parkway, I heard the police. And they were screaming down the road. I was able to get here because I live right nearby, but the timeline was hearing the police, the timeline was finding out there's an active shooter, the timeline was me coming right here on the outskirts and watching the police come out and SWAT. I can also tell you that the degree to which the Rockville Police Department and the Montgomery County Police Department got here expeditiously was incredible. The very first thing was, are you safe? But after that, when I informed him that it was an active shooter situation, that he did not know, that's when obviously the conversations got emotional. And it's a matter of realizing that could be the last time you're communicating with your child. So there's no question that is emotional. And that's one of the reasons why I say, he's a victim. Everybody in that school is a victim of the tragedy that occurred today. And it's something that we have to realize, that when things like this happen, there are victims that stretch throughout. And there are one could say that every student in Montgomery County, because we've now had an incident in Montgomery County where there was an active student situation.
We're also hearing from County Executive Mark Elrich tonight. He released a statement saying, quote, "Our thoughts are with the Wootton students, the faculty, and their families during this distressing time. Incidents like this are frightening for all involved. Student safety is our highest priority." He also said the county will keep working closely with police and school officials.
Yeah, and Maryland Governor Wes Moore also weighing in tonight. You can see he posted this on X, saying he's aware of the shooting and closely monitoring the situation. The governor also said his team is in contact with local authorities as the investigation continues.
And you can expect more from WUSA 9 on this breaking news. For updates anytime, download the WUSA 9 app on your phone and watch us anytime on the free WUSA 9 Plus streaming app. We'll be right back with more of the news at 6. You can see we are still waiting on an update from police on that shooting at Wootton High School. We should tell you that police have said they are going to wait to give that update until all of the students have been dismissed. And if you've been watching us here on WUSA 9, you understand that they've got a very deliberate process here. They've got to get all the kids out of the classrooms. The SWAT teams go by, make sure everybody's safe, put them on buses, take them to Robert Frost Middle School, and then the parents, 10 at a time, are allowed in to receive and retrieve their young people. All this to say, it could be a little while, but we will, of course, bring it to you live as soon as it happens.
All right, in the meantime, some other news we're following tonight. We have an update on the federal bribery case against D.C. Councilmember Trayon White. The start of his trial has once again been delayed. So within the past hour, we have learned a judge has granted a request by White's defense team for more time to review information provided by prosecutors. That trial was set to begin late next month. Under this new court order, though, no new date has been set. All right, Caitlin, what are you tracking tonight?
I am tracking a warm-up, Zoe, a much-needed warm-up. Temperatures in the 40s, possibly even 50s as we head into next week. And I'll also time out a little bit of rain that could come with these warmer temperatures straight ahead in my forecast.
WUSA 9 Weather Impact is sponsored by Morgan & Morgan.
Man, it felt good outside.
It did. It was that sun, too.
Yeah.
What was the temp?
Temperature was only like 33.
Yeah.
But
Winning.
you know what?
I love it. I know.
33 with sun compared to this weekend's teens and 20s with wind.
Yeah.
It was a great start to the week, and it's only going to go up from here.
You couldn't really run to the car either because of the ice. So
Yeah.
it was like, oh.
Yeah, you just gotta grin and
Deal
bear
with it,
it.
yeah.
But thankfully, we've not only got warmer temperatures on the way this week, but really through the extended forecast. So hopefully the last of our Arctic temperatures are behind us. Looking live from Earth Cam, a few clouds starting to filter in. They'll be with us for the rest of the night and even into early tomorrow morning. But even as the sun goes down, we are still sitting at 33 degrees. That is not too shabby. If you're wrapping up your workday, want to go for a walk, trust me, it feels much more bearable than it did even this morning when we started off in the teens and single digits. And overnight, temperatures won't be nearly as cold. We'll stay in the mid to upper 20s through the overnight and early morning hours of Tuesday. So, I mean, yes, it's going to be plenty chilly as you get going tomorrow morning, but not as frigid as it was this morning. We'll be right around 22 in D.C., closer to the mid-20s in southern Maryland, low 20s from Frederick down into Manassas and Culpeper, a few upper teens possible for areas north and west, closer to Hagerstown, but that's going to set the stage for what will be a really nice Tuesday forecast. I'm talking mostly sunny skies by the afternoon after some of those early morning clouds and temperatures that are back in the mid-40s. So we are going to see a little bit of snowcrete melting or at least softening throughout the day tomorrow. So if you have any pesky areas that you've been trying to chip away at over the past several weeks, it will be softer tomorrow. Good opportunity to get out there and do a little bit of clearing, but keep in mind, we are going to fall below freezing over the next several nights, so we will still have some black ice concerns as we head through the next several mornings. But for tomorrow afternoon, it is going to be a pretty wild spread in temperatures thanks to a northeasterly wind that will keep us cooler up the 95 corridor. Closer to 45 in D.C., but closer to 50 in Manassas. And then, yes, I do think we'll have low 50s down into Culpeper and Fredericksburg. 60 in Front Royal seems a little high to me, but I do think at least the mid-50s look likely for Tuesday afternoon. Wednesday will be a degree or two even milder, gorgeous middle part of the week, and that temperature is actually right around average for this time in February. And then we do get a brief cooler shot of air for Thursday and Friday. High temperatures will be in the upper 30s and low 40s, but then we are milder again as we head into the weekend. Now, as we head into the weekend, unfortunately, it's not totally rain-free. It does look like we'll see some showers develop throughout Sunday late morning and into the afternoon. And there is still a little bit of question in terms of whether or not we could start this as a little bit of wet snow or sleet, a wintry mix as this moves in. But I think by the time this weak wave of low pressure arrives, kind of again late morning, early afternoon, temperatures will be too warm to support any kind of wintry weather. The biggest threat for that does look to be off to the north and west, but even there I think our temperatures will be far enough above freezing that this will just be kind of a wet Sunday afternoon event. And then it's heavier, steadier rain by later Sunday night. This is 11 p.m. Some of those showers do look to stick around early Monday morning, but then clear out pretty quickly on President's Day. So no major issues as we're heading back to work and school after the weekend. And over the next several days, I mean, just gorgeous with mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies, temperatures near, if not just slightly below average. The start to the weekend, Valentine's Day on Saturday, looks gorgeous. So if you're looking to maybe get outside, celebrate with loved ones, it is going to be a little chilly in the morning. Yes, temperatures hovering kind of right around freezing, but then low 40s by lunchtime, mid to upper 40s for afternoon high temperatures. And with all of that sunshine and very little wind, great day to get outside and enjoy, because by Sunday we do have that rain moving in, generally late morning and into the early afternoon. A few raindrops early on President's Day, but doesn't look like a major impact storm system there. Just a little bit of much needed rain, because keep in mind we are still in the middle of a drought, and that rain would also help with some of the melting of our snowcrete.
Okay, bring it on. Let's melt it. It's time. Thanks, Caitlin. There is a road closure in downtown D.C., and it's going to disrupt traffic through the rest of the week. We're talking about the northbound lanes of 14th Street Northwest between L and Thomas Circle. Experts say this stretch of roadway could collapse at any moment. An abandoned sewer tunnel is to blame. It's been out of service for nearly 50 years. It was supposed to be filled in, and D.C. Water discovered the problem because of a nearby water main break.
This is an emergency situation. If we have heavy vehicles going over the road here where this sewer line is in danger of collapsing, that's exactly what could happen. You don't want heavy vehicles going across here.
D.C. Water says they'll work to fill in that tunnel as soon as it's warm enough, which is why, Caitlin, we've been saying let's make it warm enough. But expect this stretch of road to remain closed through the end of the week. Now, D.C. Water wants you to know your drinking water and your other utilities are not impacted.
All right, thankfully, they caught it. All right, so you can see we are still waiting on that update from police on what happened at Wootton High School today after a student was shot presumably by another student. We're going to bring that to you live as soon as it happens.
Right now, though, let's see what's coming up on the CBS Evening News.
Yeah, Tony DeCopolo joins us now with a preview.
Good evening. We're tracking several breaking developments this evening in the potential kidnapping of Savannah Guthrie's mother ahead of a new deadline, a new video from Savannah Guthrie herself. What we're learning, all that ahead on the CBS Evening News.
Talk
All
about
right.
Super Bowl commercials.
Yeah, there were a couple that stood out to us,
winners.
but that's about it.
Yeah. Oh, well, maybe next year.
Did we do that?
It's like, man, okay. Regroup. Okay,
Yeah.
last word.
Yeah, forecast is looking great over the next several days. We've got 40s and sunshine. That is just about as good as we could ask for coming off of the cold, wintry stretch we have had. Heading into the weekends, we've got Valentine's Day on Saturday. Looks gorgeous. Then we'll track a few rain showers Sunday into Monday.
Okay, thank you, Caitlin. That does it for us at 6. The CBS Evening News is next right here.
Yeah, we'll be streaming in just a couple minutes and continuing our coverage on the Wootton High School shooting. See you then. We're staying on top of breaking news on WUSA 9 News at 6:30, so thank you for streaming with us on WUSA 9 Plus. I'm Leslie Foster, and for more than 3 hours now, we've been tracking a shooting inside Wootton High School in Rockville. A student is recovering tonight after police say they were shot by another student. Police took that student into custody. They've got the weapon, and we're told the student who was shot is stable. Now, Sky 9 flew over Frost Middle School. That is where families are waiting to reunite with their students. It could take a while. We've seen long lines of people in cars trying to reach their loved ones. We just talked with a Wootton student after this happened. He says the school doesn't have any metal or weapons detectors, and a father we spoke to says he raised concern about that very fact last week.
I was at work. I got a text from my son. We have a family group thing, and it says that here first was shouting and then just banging, and everybody's locked down, all the lights are off. So obviously I came here right away, and I called 911 right away. They already knew about it, and I don't know what's happening.
Well, what's it? I mean, I know it's an obvious question, but as a parent, you heard this and immediately you came here. Tell me what's going through your head.
I just hope that what's happening, the officers just break the door and go inside. I just don't want them to stay outside. Remind me what happened in Texas, and I don't want that happens here. So I just want to make sure whatever is happening, just go inside. That's all.
And as a parent, what is this?
As a parent, I'm not going to send my kids to school. That's the first thing on my mind. I know it's crazy. I was just telling my wife, homeschooling, I guess, is the best thing to do because this is not. I mean, you see all the parents crying, some are crying, and this is crazy. I'm lucky that I get text from my son here, so I know he's okay. It sounds like I talked to mom. She hasn't heard anything, and this is crazy. It's insane. It's insane. It shouldn't happen there, especially in this country. You shouldn't have this kind of stuff. But
and now we just sit here and wait.
Just sit and wait. I mean, this is crazy. I didn't have metal. I don't know. Actually, crazy thing is that my daughter is also a middle school here, just down here. I actually a few weeks ago went and talked to the principal, and I said we should put metal detector here. And he's like, "Oh no, we cannot do it." I mean, what are we waiting for? We should do that. What are we waiting for? This kind of stuff should not happen. I much prefer that they search every single kid before they go inside.
WUSA 9 Weather Impact is sponsored by Morgan & Morgan.
All right, Caitlin, obviously we're going to continue our coverage of what's happening at Wootton, but let's get a check now of our weather impact forecast. You've got some good news about these bitter cold temperatures.
Yeah, I do, Leslie. I mean, today it was definitely still chilly. Our temperatures started off in the teens and single digits and only climbed right around the freezing mark, which is still where we're sitting in D.C. right now. But hey, even with the sunshine, it felt spectacular. And as we head through the rest of the week, I've got much warmer weather on the way. And you'll notice it as early as tomorrow morning, because as we head through the next several hours and even into the overnight, our temperatures don't get nearly as cold as they have been overnight. I'm talking we stay in the mid to upper 20s here as we head through the overnight. And that is partially because of clouds that are increasing and will stick with us at least through the early morning hours of Tuesday. But with those clouds, we only drop into the upper teens and low 20s as you're waking up early on Tuesday morning. So the clouds thankfully won't be here for long. We'll still see plenty of nice sunshine as we look ahead to your Tuesday forecast, but we're also tracking the potential for a few flakes ahead of rain on Sunday, and it does primarily look like rain, but this is your early heads up that depending on when this next weak little storm system moves in, we could see a mix with some snow or sleet at the onset, but this week it looks really, really nice, especially coming off of such a cold stretch of weather. We've got a stretch of 40s for the first time in a long time, and we will start to see some melting from all of the snow and ice that we have outside. But keep in mind, our overnight low temperatures are still going to be chilly, likely below freezing most nights this week. So any daytime melting we do see is going to lead to a black ice threat once those temperatures drop back below freezing. Now, getting out the door tomorrow morning, many areas will be in the low 20s, pretty comfortable if you're getting out early on Tuesday, at least compared to what it's been the past several mornings. We will have a few upper teens back towards Hagerstown, but 21 in Martinsburg, 23 in Leesburg, 22 in D.C., even closer to the mid-20s down into parts of southern Maryland. And throughout the day tomorrow, despite that little bit of a cloudy start, sunshine prevails. It's going to be a beautiful day with temperatures back in the mid-40s. We haven't seen temperatures that mild in far too long, and that's actually closer to average for this time in winter. First time we'll be close to average in about a month. So we have that to look forward to, and a lot more 40s on the way as well. I'll have those details coming up in my 7-day forecast.
All right, Caitlin, thank you. Today, the House Oversight Committee scheduled a virtual deposition with Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell. It comes amid the ongoing investigation into the Epstein files. Erica Brown has the latest from Capitol Hill.
Convicted sex trafficker and longtime Jeffrey Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell appeared before House lawmakers for a virtual deposition Monday, but she refused to answer questions invoking her Fifth Amendment right.
She had an opportunity today to answer questions that every American has, questions that would be very important in this investigation, and she chose to invoke her Fifth Amendment right.
The House Oversight Committee subpoenaed Maxwell for testimony last July. Today, they say they tried to get her to respond to a variety of questions relevant to their Epstein investigation.
Who were the other co-conspirators? Who were the other men who raped these underage girls? Did she have any conversations about a deal with Donald Trump?
Maxwell is serving a 20-year prison sentence for sex trafficking, and in a statement, her attorney said she is prepared to speak freely if she gets clemency from President Trump.
She is campaigning over and over again to get that pardon from President Trump. And this president has not ruled it out. And so that is why she's continuing to not cooperate with our investigation.
Maxwell's virtual appearance came on the same day members of Congress were granted access to the Justice Department's unredacted Epstein files.
I was interested in certain redactions that seemed puzzling to me, and I wanted to go and see were there actually names of victims in there that caused the redactions, and in the overwhelming number of cases, there were not names of victims there.
Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer says 5 more depositions related to the Epstein probe are scheduled, including with former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Erica Brown, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Back to our breaking news and out to Frost Middle School. That's where families are being reunited with students after a shooting inside Wootton High School. Our Randy Hildreth has been there talking with families. Hopefully we've got her there. Randy, you're there? All right, we just lost her shot. We'll go back to her as soon as we can. All right, let's go back to Randy. Obviously, this is a fluid situation.
They just lost the shot.
Here. Randy, we got you there. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Randy, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect. I know you have been talking to parents.
Yes,
You've been
yes,
finding
I can
out.
hear you. Can you? Okay.
I can hear you. Yes, I know you've been talking to parents and you've been helping to communicate the particulars of how this actual reunification is going to work. Where are they in the process at this point?
So I want to step out of the frame because you can see another load of students, several buses. I would say this is the largest drop-off that I've seen since I've been at the intersection right outside of Robert Frost Middle School. Some of these buses in the back look empty, but the first few buses that went through, I did see students and maybe some officials, teachers or administrative officials from Wootton High School. I saw some adults sitting on that bus as well. Once these buses pass, you will see a closer look at the long line of families and parents that have come to reunite with their child. You might be able to see this group of parents walking across the street. These are parents who've been reunited with their child or their children after anxiously waiting to lay eyes on their loved ones. It has been a long day for these students and these families, and this reunification process has been and we're listening to what law enforcement officials are saying at this intersection right in front of Robert Frost Middle School. I'm hearing that there are too many buses that have arrived. So when you talk about the logistics of something like this, trying to get students from one school to another, and the amount of students that were transported to this location, it's quite the process. So they are working to get these buses moved through this area so that more buses can come through and drop students off. But you talk about the parents who are here waiting to be reunited with their child. I just want to do a quick reset if you are watching and waiting and want to know what it will be when you get up here. So I'm told that once students get off the bus, they go inside the building here at Frost Middle School, and then parents who are waiting out here go in 10 at a time, and you must have your identification. When we were with you about 30 minutes ago, the line of parents was really a cluster, a crowd that had formed closer to the front of the building. At this point, you might not be able to see it because there's a bus in the road. the line of parents is almost stretching out to the sidewalk in front of the building. Now, as I've been out here, as you mentioned, I've talked with parents. I've also had a chance to talk with some of the students who are now finally in the process of getting home to their parents, reuniting with their mom or their dad. I spoke with one of the students about what he experienced today. He says that he was in his math class and they heard the alarm, heard instructions over the announcements about what was going on to transition into this lockdown mode. And on those announcements, they were told to close the shutters on the windows, to hunker down in place. And you could see in this student's face what he was processing. I want to give you a moment to listen to how he described what he experienced.
I'm heartbroken. I mean, like I said, you never think it happens to you. I mean, I'm still processing it, but when I was in the cafeteria waiting to be signed out, I'm like, oh my gosh, this really happened. And I'm feeling a little emotional because, like I said, that's just a little boy. That's someone's son. He has a mother. He could have a sister. And I pray to God that he makes it through. I heard he's stable, and I hope it stays that way. I heard it from across the room, and I walked over and I talked with my friends, and they said that's what happened. And at first it was a rumor. Yes, like he said, she said. Mm-hmm. So at first I thought it was a rumor, and then Montgomery, I was following it on Twitter, and Montgomery County police updates, they said they confirmed a gun has went off inside Wootton High School. Mm-hmm. And I was in awe. You never think it happens to you, but until it does.
And what he told me was when they were on lockdown, SWAT teams had to go room by room to clear the building, to sweep the building before they were able to leave and then ultimately be brought over here to Frost Middle School. And he says that law enforcement told them to grab their ID and the phone. They had to leave their belongings. And so he said, you know, my schoolwork, my book bag is exactly where I left it. And that eerie feeling of stopping because of the circumstances of what he experienced today. Also, within the last 10 minutes or so, I spoke with another student and his mom. And to watch the mom hold so tightly onto her child, you could see in her face just relieved to be able to see her son and to know that her son was okay. But one of the things that she emphasized is her heart is also with the student who is recovering tonight. And then she says her heart is also with the student who is accused of pulling the trigger, wanting to pray for him and devastated that it would rise to this point. And so thoughts and prayers for everyone, but a lot of what we are hearing tonight is not just leaving it at thoughts and prayers and wanting to push for action, wanting increased safety measures in schools for students. But again, we're watching families be reunited. Again, if you are a parent needing to reunite with your student, you have to have your ID.
All right, that was our Randy Hildreth, and some excellent reporting from her outside of Frost Middle School as families are coming back together after what was just a traumatic day at Wootton High School, and a reminder that there is no community that hasn't had to grapple with this advent of gun violence and happening at our schools. Young people are traumatized, their families are traumatized, their teachers and communities are traumatized. We will see what happens from here, but for tonight, the focus is on reunifying or reunification between the kids and the parents, and that could take some time. We've also been waiting for a bit for an update from officials and from police. They've said they want to wait until all the students have been released and are carefully in the custody of their loved ones or their guardians before they actually give some remarks. So we'll, of course, be waiting for that, watching for that, and bringing that to you as soon as it happens. I think we're going to move on to this next part of our newscast. And of course, you all know we've been following the developments around Today's Show anchor Savannah Guthrie and her desperate plea for her mother. The search for her mother, Nancy, is into its second week. Savannah herself has released another video, and this comes just hours before a deadline included in a ransom note by her alleged captors. Andres Gutierrez has an update on the investigation.
Calling it their hour of desperation, Today's Show co-anchor Savannah Guthrie made a plea on behalf of her family for any information leading to her mother Nancy's return.
She was taken and we don't know where. And we need your help. If you see anything, you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement.
Savannah Guthrie said law enforcement is working around the clock on her mother's case. The family faces a looming deadline Monday, according to an apparent ransom note the FBI is still working to authenticate.
This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
In a previous message, the family offered to pay, but it's not confirmed what the demand is. One former FBI negotiator is questioning the would-be kidnapper's potential motives.
It also could be more of a emotional or expressive type, grievance. Maybe someone that she knows and it's really not financial, or maybe it just went really bad and they're improvising.
Law enforcement have not held a news conference since last Thursday, and they haven't talked about receiving any proof of life of Nancy Guthrie.
I take them at face value that they have nothing right now. That being said, if they do have a credible lead, they're very smart to hold it close to the vest and to play that tactfully for an operation that might result in the victim being returned alive.
The safe return of Nancy Guthrie is also top of mind for local residents praying for her and the family.
My prayers and the flowers, and I hope it makes them feel a little bit better. We will get her back. We will get her back good and healthy and fine.
That's the earnest wish for all involved here as investigators run down every lead. Andres Gutierrez, CBS News, Tucson.
Tonight we're hearing from Maryland Governor Wes Moore after the White House did not invite him to the National Governors Association dinner. Moore is currently the vice chair of that association. He says he's one of 2 Democratic governors being kept out of the dinner. The other is Colorado Governor Jared Polis, the country's first openly gay governor. Governor Moore says he's ready to work with the Trump administration, but the optics of the situation cannot be ignored.
It's not lost to me that I'm the only black governor in this country. And I find that to be, particularly painful, considering the fact that the president is trying to exclude me from an organization that not only are my peers have asked me to help to lead, but then also a place where I know I belong in.
We asked the White House for a response. They sent a statement saying, quote, many Democrats were invited to dinner at the White House and others were not. These are White House events and the president reserves the right to invite whomever he wants. And that's a quote. Tomorrow is special election day in 2 Northern Virginia districts. Voters in District 39 will fill Adam Eben's Senate seat, and that opened up when he resigned to become the senior advisor at Virginia's Cannabis Control Authority. The position represents Alexandria City and parts of Arlington and Fairfax counties. District 5 delegate Elizabeth Bennett Parker is running for that Senate seat, which means her seat is now also up for grabs. Polls will be open from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. tomorrow, and we will be right back with more of the news at 6:30. Puerto Rican superstar Bad Bunny turned the Super Bowl halftime show into a full-blown dance party last night. It was a landmark moment for Latino culture and the most watched halftime performance of all time. Adriana Diaz takes us to the big show.
The grass grew into a field of sugarcane as Bad Bunny kicked off his halftime show. The singer started his set by walking us through a colorful Caribbean landscape filled with a dominoes game, a nail salon, and even a shaved ice cart. He then took us to La Casita, the same pink house from his Puerto Rican residency last year, where Jessica Alba, Cardi B, Karol G, and Pedro Pascal were all VIP.
Los declaro marido y mujer.
From there, it morphed into a real-life, legally binding wedding with quite the wedding singer. Lady Gaga, singing a salsa version of Die With a Smile. She also showed off her dance moves at the wedding reception. Bad Bunny then took a shot from a Puerto Rican pioneer, Toñita, who owns a legendary New York social club. At one point, cameras found a young boy and his family watching the moment Bad Bunny won his Grammy last week. The singer then passing the dream forward. La Brega podcast host Alana Casanova Burgess.
I think a lot of people, myself included, saw parallels between that little boy and Liam Conejo Ramos. We know that that little boy wasn't Liam Conejo Ramos, but whether it was a younger Bad Bunny or any other Latino kid, I think the parallels were pretty clear.
From there, Bad Bunny brought out fellow Puerto Rican icon Ricky Martin.
Quieren quitarme el río y también la playa.
God bless America! And then closed out the show, shouting out every country across the Americas. Marching with all their flags in front of a jumbotron that read, "The only thing more powerful than hate is love." An alternative halftime show viewed by more than 5 million people was headlined by Kid Rock. Bad Bunny set drew a record-breaking 135 million viewers and tens of thousands in person.
I love the fact that everybody was like bringing culture together and he was just trying to mend things.
I think music should be universal and it was absolutely fantastic.
Adriana Diaz, CBS News.
WUSA 9 Weather Impact is sponsored by Morgan & Morgan.
Well, after such a frigid few weeks, we finally have some nice winter weather to look forward to over the next several days. This entire week will feature high temperatures in the 40s, nice sunshine all the way into Valentine's Day on Saturday, which does mean, yes, we will start to see some of the snowcrete melt, if nothing else soften. But with colder temperatures overnight, we'll have to watch for some black ice here over the next several mornings. And then as we head into the weekend, it does look like we'll see some rain on Sunday, but with temperatures so far above freezing, does look to be mainly, if not entirely, just rain. So waking up on Tuesday, temperatures aren't going to feel that bad compared to this morning. We started off Monday in the single digits and teens, so low 20s, not too shabby. We will have a few teens back into our north and western areas up toward Hagerstown, but 23 in Front Royal, 23 in Leesburg, 22 in DC, with temperatures closer to the mid-20s in southern Maryland, and that will tee us up for a beautiful day. We're back in the low 40s by lunchtime, mid-40s for afternoon high temperatures, and we will start the day with a few clouds, but don't be discouraged if you wake up to some cloudy conditions early on Tuesday. By the afternoon, beautiful sunshine will be out across the region, and there will be a pretty solid temperature split for Tuesday. That 45 is going to be right around the Beltway, but areas farther north and east will be cooler, and south and west will be milder, near 50 in Manassas, low 50s in Culpeper and Fredericksburg. I think we'll be a little hard pressed to make 60 in Front Royal, but you will be in the 50s. So depending on where you are Tuesday, could be a really nice mild afternoon. But the rest of the week will feature temperatures in the 40s, a few degrees even warmer still on Wednesday, up to 47 degrees, low 40s, slightly cooler for Thursday into Friday, and a few areas will stay in the 30s, but that's still nicer than it's been. And then as we head into the weekend, mid to upper 40s are back for Valentine's Day Day on Saturday. Looks like a really nice day to get outside, maybe celebrate with loved ones. It will be a little chilly to start. Temperatures will be right around freezing early on Saturday morning, but by lunchtime, low 40s by the afternoon, mid to upper 40s, and with beautiful blue skies and very calm wind, it really is going to be a great day to get outside, soak in some of that sunshine, because by Sunday, we are tracking a little bit of rain. Clouds will start to increase Saturday night, Sunday morning. This is 6 a.m. Still nice and dry, but that next wave of low pressure will move in late morning and really into the afternoon. And there is still a little question as to whether or not we could start it off as a little bit of wet snow or possibly sleet. But I do think by the time this storm system moves in, temperatures will be warm enough that it is just going to be rain. That said, if it moves in a little bit earlier in the morning, could start off as a bit of a mix. So definitely check back in over the next several days. I mean, this is nearly a week away, but does look like we'll have rain by Sunday afternoon. Some moderate to even heavy rain by later Sunday night. This is 11 o'clock. And then by the time you wake up on Monday, President's Day, the last of the rain will be clearing east of 95. We'll be dry by lunchtime on Monday, and then sunshine is back for the second half of the day. So lots to like here in the next 7 days with sunshine, 40s here for the next week. Valentine's Day is going to be our warmest day, tied with next Monday. And again, that's going to be my pick day of the weekend to get outside and enjoy, because we do have those showers that will move in by later Sunday afternoon and stick around into early President's Day on Monday.
Gift of a good day we love to share with the ones we love. Thanks, Caitlin. And thank you for watching us here on WUSA 9 News at 6:30. Keep streaming here on WUSA 9 Plus. We're going to bring you that press conference about Wootton High School and the shooting there when it happens. We'll also see you back here at 11. Have a good evening, everyone.